Okay.
an opportunity to advertise on the Trento Vision Show. If you want more information about this excellent opportunity for your business, please contact Don Tripp at 561-319-5536. So you can email him, Tom@TrentoVision.com.
Diana's going to be calling. You're blind. Mark.
Tom, that sounds terrible.
I can't concentrate right now.
I'm going to send you what we're doing with Diana today.
Okay.
Get up to speed fast while
Okay.
I do the opening here.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, we're ready. Let's make it happen. Hello, everybody. Tom Trento. The last day, the final day
I can't believe it.
of the papacy for the church at Rome. Pope Benedict took his little white helicopter, and Damon said the front of the helicopter looked like the top of his hat for some reason. He had a Pope mobile, so maybe he has a Pope copter. But first time in 600 years that a Pope has stepped down, and he now becomes a monk, from what I understand. Last day of February. This is not a leap year, so good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TrentoVision.tv. And on the radio side, WNN 1470, broadcasting out of Boca Raton, Florida. We thank you for tuning in. We know that you have thousands, billions of radio stations you can choose from, simply because with iHeartRadio, and everybody should have iHeartRadio, you can be listening to anything, anywhere. But you better not be, because we have some great stuff in store for you, particularly if you're inclined to knowing what's going on in the world, and even more specifically, knowing what's going on in the world as it relates to the bad guys that want to kill us. Yes, we deal with some very difficult information here, defending the United States Constitution as I speak right now. There is a vote going on in Congress for a replacement concept. The Republicans are voting right now. The Democrats are coming up. A Republican replacement of the sequestration situation. We will monitor that for you. Because in our underground bunker, we just had TVs installed. And we are moving on up, and we can.
We're getting so fancy so fast.
We can
That's your
monitor.
phone.
We can monitor. I shut this
Yeah.
off.
Sound check. Sound check.
We can monitor the world's events as we normally do. So thank you for tuning in. And as we started out yesterday, it's great to be an American. It's great to be living in America. And we think this country is worth living for, worth dying for, worth fighting for, and worth doing a radio show for. Because it's hot in this room. But the fans are on, and it was a little cooler here in South Florida. So the gods of the weather were kind to us. But we did have to just put the air conditioning on. We did just have to do that. Hi, CJ. How are you?
I'm great. Absolutely.
Good.
You know,
She's
people
great.
in Iowa right now are hating you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I gotta look at
But actually, it is nice when it's a little cooler outside.
Snuggly weather, fireplace. What's funny is I grew up in Jersey. I moved to Chicago and went to school in Chicago, and it was very cold. And then I went to Colorado, to Denver, to go to school, and it was very, very cold. And in Chicago, and particularly Denver, as soon as it hits a certain temperature, you start smelling the firewood burning and wafting through the air, and the oak and the walnut and the maple nut and the sugar nut and the peppermint wood and whatever kind of wood they burn. When it gets to about 69, 70, you start smelling fireplaces in South Florida. Because just as long as they're not sweating, they want to light their fireplaces. Interesting phenomenon.
Yeah.
But again, thank you for tuning in. And we do a 3-hour show, 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Our goal is to fight the Islamic Jihad, fight the Marxist left, and return political and common sense sanity to the political structures, to the social structures, to the institutions in the United States of America. The way it works,
And
folks.
those who should be institutionalized.
And those who should be institutionalized. We can have a growing list of those.
Yeah.
An
Let this
institution.
madness never end.
An institution is simply a formal gathering of people with a particular purpose in life to impact the lives of other citizens. So we have education as an institution, we have the media, we have law, we have medicine. And if those institutions adopt a worldview that is different than we all kind of like if we adopt a Marxist view of education,
We already
I think
have
we
a
did that one. I
Marxist
think we did
education system in this
We are-
country.
yes, that's already happening.
Yeah.
if we adopt a socialist view of the economy, if we ever did that,
Oh, we're already doing that.
I
Tom.
think we did that one. If we ever
Ever.
socialize or take a socialistic approach to medicine, I can't even imagine that would ever happen. But if we ever did,
We're already
oh
doing
wait,
that, Tom.
oh wait,
Oh,
we
yeah,
did that
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
And we're doing all of these in the past 4 years. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, at lightning speed.
Yes, then the world changes before you, and many of you are unemployed, and now you're disillusioned, and those of you who own businesses, you're saying, how could I not pay any taxes because they're screwing with my money and throwing it away? We understand all of that. Well, our show is to bring experts to you, our sparkling and stimulating commentary, and we throw in a few laughs.
Jocularity?
to.
Is it
Just
jocularity?
salted, a
Tom?
little bit of
Jocularity.
jocularity. And we've added another.
You know what? I just remembered. I'm supposed to remind me every time we say John Kerry that I'm supposed to do the French laugh.
Oh, that's right. You
Okay,
are.
yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. You may have competition.
Competition for the French laugh?
Yeah, we have a new voice. Well, do your French laugh whenever we mention John Kerry to our new person here. So, John Kerry today said. That is so
That is a
French.
good French laugh.
That is a very good French laugh. But let's have a test. Our new guy. You heard it once. Okay? So, John Kerry said today.
Oh, very funny.
Oh, he put in a little copy.
Yeah, but he sounded like a Spanish person trying to sound like a French person.
Or you got to sound like a French Canadian. You got to sound like a French Canadian
Oh, yeah, that
person
could work.
saying
That
it.
could work.
Okay, all right.
It's a little nasally thing.
I don't know. Yeah. Mark, you stick with the
Somebody
cameras.
send me a pack of Export A's and I'll get in the right frame of mind for that.
But we do have,
Maybe a Coke and a May West for breakfast.
We do. What was your name again, sir?
Imam Abdullah, I fool you, you fool. I am Minister of Takia.
He's the minister of Takia. Oh, okay. We'll learn about Takia, or Takia. We'll learn about that eventually. And if you've been watching the show, you've already learned about Takia, which is what, Minister of Imam Abdullah? What is Takia? What is that?
It, in essence, it would just be considered the art of lying to your miserable face.
Oh, while we
you
smile.
miserable infidel
As I smile
face.
at you.
Okay, all right. We
Also,
got
it sounds like the call for a shofar, but
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
probably
does it?
wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
We also want everybody to know about, and WNN is running spots on. Did you get Diana yet, by any chance? Oh, Diana, on your phone. Oh, Diana.
To Alabama with
call in now,
on
call.
Monday. Am I supposed to call her? Or is she supposed to call me?
No, she's going to call us on the new Trento Vision temporary number. So we'll get her in a second.
Okay.
But we want everybody to know, and if you can come and attend tomorrow night, man, this came up very quickly, the third annual Wild West Night. This is in the Glades, folks. The Glades. For those of you who don't know when I say the Glades, can somebody fill them in? What comes before the Glades?
Everglades.
Everglades is always, they're always going on. The swamps. This is in the swamps. Nice party in the swamps tomorrow. But it actually is on a beautiful ranch, Ron Bergeron's Green Glades Ranch. It's in a city of Weston, which is a pretty cool city. but it's on the edge of the Everglades. So that's where we will be tomorrow evening. And this is a benefit. It's a nonprofit event, nonprofit organization, Horses and the Handicapped of South Florida. And as we've mentioned before, it's one of the individuals that is being recognized and memorialized at this third annual event to help handicapped people, where they bring horses together with handicap, is Megan Morency. And she's the daughter of the general manager
Yeah.
of WNN. She was unfortunately and sadly killed in an equestrian accident about 10 years ago. So the Morencies and WNN and others got together. Here's some of the names. Let's read some of the sponsors. Joe Bell, John Burkata, Bill Burke, Brenda D'Iola, I should know how to read an Italian name, D'Ioia, Danielle Di Nicola, a lot of Italian people here. Ken Gross, Jay Kurtman, Bob Morency, Don Pritchard, Stephanie Scheinman, Jack Schulman, Sandra Seiden, and Winston Simmons. So we'll be there. A lot of fun, party, music, bands, all kinds of different people. Please come. Also, speaking of WNN, be watching Steve Kane and Brian Craig 6 to 9 every single morning. They start the day with All Things Obama. We end the afternoon with All Things Obama. And if you can't catch all of us right now, you can go to our archive on YouTube/The United West. Just read the little annotation that will be there eventually. You'll know what show you're looking at. And please be sure to donate. Go to TrentoVision.tv. Hit the donate securely button. You can do that. And we thank Ken and Tamara for the show preceding us. They told the Tea Party community folks about our show now. We want you to watch Ken and Tamara every day, 2 to 3. We come on 3 to 6. And the world's a wonderful place. The world has even gotten better because our dear friend Diana West is with us. Hi, Diana. How are you?
Hi. Hey, how are you?
Good, good, good. We are doing very well here in our new underground bunker. I think, oh no, we actually had you. We tested last week.
We actually do have that piece for her.
Yeah, last week we tested our new facility, and then on Friday we went back to our radio station and had a going away party there. I spoke with Bob today, guys, and he misses us dearly. We kind of took over the place, I guess, when we went in there.
I think we added a lot of vitality to the station.
Well, it was like,
If that's what you want to call it.
it was like a long-lost family coming and taking over somebody's house. But in any event, Diana, we came back on Monday to our bunker in a different location, and we're essentially producing a television show that is broadcast on the radio for our listening audience. And you are one of our weekly treats. How about that?
Yes.
Sounds good.
We're going to find a name for your segment. Right now we're calling it the Dead Grown-Up section. How about that?
Well, that'll do probably for the headline of a lot of stories we talk about.
Wow.
You're right, and we thought that would work. We want to do a couple of things with our time together. Go through your article, go through the article regarding the New York Times, and then I have some questions for you about some of our new leaders who are just getting installed in the halls of Congress. So, but give us a quick update. How has your past week been?
A quick update on what? I'm sorry.
On your life, this is we're very
We're very folksy here.
yeah, we're folksy
Okay,
and casual.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Well, my life was temporarily ruined this morning by that New York Times piece. I think I heard you mention
Yes.
that smeared and slandered and utterly libeled, if that were permissible with a public figure, which it's not. But our friend Lars Hedegaard of Denmark, the New York Times ran a story headlined, "Danish critic of Islam attacked and Muslims defend his right to speak."
Oh,
And
yeah.
this was, they told you right away what was going to be coming, but what unsuspecting readers of that paper will not be able to find out unless they do a lot of homework, is that the story is riddled with error, filled with invective, and indeed the Muslim groups and people that they actually quote are some of the people who are involved in literally inciting the worldwide riots against the Danish cartoons back in 2006 or 7. And while this does come across in the piece somewhat, it's very kind of elliptical, and meanwhile they utterly minimize and leave the readers in the dark as to what a war ground, a battleground that Denmark has become, with the various of terrorism plots, assassination attempts, general strife that has been going on there in the past decade as many Danes try to resist Sharia. And that's what this is all about, and the New York Times doesn't tell its readers any of it.
All right, well, we need to work through this because this is critically important. Hang on. I can hear the paper moving on the desk over there. Your mic's very hot, guys.
Yeah.
Your mic
I can
is,
hear your papers
yeah, if you
and
can
your
cut your mic
cookies
over
and-
there.
Is that better?
Okay, there we go. That's better. And Diana, let me make sure I can hear you. How are you?
She sounds good.
Diana, you there?
That sounds good.
Yes, I am.
Okay, there she is. Good, excellent. Yeah, this is a critically important analysis of what the gray lady, the New York Times, the paper of record. It's hard even saying those words. Yeah, I don't know if her mic is on. What they're doing, and now you, for the record here, you serve with Lars Hedegaard, and we're going to have you explain who he is to the folks. You're on the board, I think, of the Free Press Society, correct?
That is true. That is true. I'm also Washington correspondent for the newspaper that Lars co-edits with another journalist, Ingrid Carlqvist, which just began its regular printing in January.
All right, a couple of years back, I was traveling around Europe, meeting with Wilders and a few others, and I had a rendezvous with Lars Hedegaard at a hotel in Amsterdam, I believe, and I interviewed him, probably an hour and a half. We sat down in a hotel room, and we had a fabulous time. Then we went to dinner, and I found him one of the most humble, one of the most intelligent, sort of a global European understanding of life, but someone who had a very American understanding of the First Amendment. He's kind of a unique individual. Tell us a little bit about him, his background, how you got involved with him, and then we'll get into the assassination attempt, because this stuff is seriously dangerous, folks. When you take a stand for the First Amendment out of the United States, it's getting dangerous here. But once you step outside the United States, it gets real dangerous. Tell us a little bit about Lars and how you got involved with him.
Sure. Lars he's 70 years old, which I think is part of the reason why he knows so much. He is deeply well-read, learned. I would use the word learned to describe him, but he's also been a working journalist all of his adult life, as well as a historian. He is Danish, and his forebears were Danish. He lives near Copenhagen, and in a suburb of Copenhagen. And I first met him several years ago, I think 2008, 5 years ago, and sat down with him at the very charming little harbor, little restaurant aside the charming little harbor in Copenhagen, and also had a tremendous, wonderful first impression, which has never flagged since. He's a great person to talk to, again, so learned and so understanding of so much. And what he was all about at this time and ever since is trying to preserve free speech in Denmark and in the wider West. And at that time, this was just a couple of years after the initial rioting that just rocked the world over, supposedly, the Danish cartoons. What it was over, really, and this is something nobody gets in these silly and dangerous news stories, it was over Denmark's decision, the Danish journalists who printed the Muhammad cartoons, their decision to prove that Denmark does not bow to Islamic law, which prohibits critiques or pictures or anything we would consider in the Western frame of reference, criticism, debate about Islam, about Muhammad. That is the crux of this story. It isn't that a cartoon causes a riot. It is a war over free speech, over fighting back against the incursions of Islamic law. And it's that basic and elemental, and yet that is the piece of the story that people are just not provided by the media, by politicians.
It's not coming out at all. And now Lars Hedegaard, we're putting a picture of him up there. We got a picture of him up right now. A distinguished-looking guy too, and just a fun guy. He has a sense of humor also. In light of his principled and positioned stand, now he has come to the United States. What kind of welcome has he had in the States?
Well, I think his profile is not very high. Before this assassination attempt of a few weeks ago, he's certainly been in Washington receptions, very well respected, well regarded. He is a very articulate. He has a beautiful British accent, and I asked him where he got it, and he didn't even seem to really understand that he had one when we talked about it. I assumed he was taught English by somebody from Great Britain years ago, but so his reception is always very good. But now that he's become kind of one of these lightning rods here, having joined this terrible string of assassinated and attempted assassinated freedom speakers of truth and light, and people who wish to keep free speech in Europe and the wider West going. He has a higher profile that the New York Times now has essentially sought to destroy, because this story, which I do urge your listeners to look at, I would also invite them to come to my website, dianawest.net, and see exactly how I analyze the piece, because it is a very important thing to learn to do, to learn to read these stories and understand where they're coming from, and more importantly, what they are leaving out. And that's what I try to do. I spent about 6 hours today doing it, so it's pretty careful in there.
Okay. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I do.
Can't hear you.
No. Mark, can you hear me?
Go ahead.
I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
someone talking
Okay,
to me?
yeah,
I
I'm
missed
sorry.
it.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I can.
I have to wonder whether anybody who reads the New York Times regularly really cares to delve into the truth of any story that's published.
Well, unfortunately, journalists read it, and so even if you're not reading the New York Times, if you're getting any news, if you are listen, most people don't have time to ferret out the kinds of things that compel us, right, to be pursuing these issues. So most people, even if they're not reading the New York Times, they are sort of reading a generation of it or a relative of it, because it does still set the agenda. So, for example, Lars Hedegaard recently had a very wonderful opportunity to get his op-ed into the Wall Street Journal a few days ago.
Mm-hmm.
He was able to explain what had happened to him, what he stood for. You had a very wonderful piece by Andrew McCarthy at National Review this week on the 20th anniversary of the World Trade Center, the first World Trade Center attack, in which he actually made a very clear and I think extremely apt link between that bombing and what happened to Lars a few weeks ago in Copenhagen when he was almost murdered.
Right.
And now the New York Times piece comes out, and it's someone who might have heard of Lars kind of because of this, now sees him in the New York Times, and he's defined as a vile racist who is also a conspiracy monger. And that becomes Lars's ticket now, and media from here on end, if they were even inclined to try to write an honest story, are deeply influenced by what just happened in the New York Times. So it remains important, unfortunately.
So this is along the lines of what we were talking about with you last week when you were talking about McCarthyism, and basically a lot of it has to do with the labeling and basically anybody who's truthful, center right. just gets labeled Islamophobic, racist, whatever it may be.
Right.
And that silences all discussion of whether, never mind whether it's actually truthful or not, the characterization of the person, but now the person is not free to discuss the subject with which he or she is familiar because he's already been discredited.
Right, exactly.
So
It's-
forget,
it's
you don't even have
yeah.
to talk about the message, you just have to discredit immediately the messenger.
Exactly, and you know, it's you know, it kind of as an aside in this Lars story, there is this discussion about these Muslim groups that are ostensibly now supporting free speech in Denmark. Now, of course, this support,
Yeah, when pigs
even in
fly.
the confines, well, even in the confines of the story, it's you know, it's fairly limited, and when you actually go back and see what the groups are saying, it becomes quite complicated in that the leader of, for example, one group that they discuss in the piece, the leader is a man named Tahrir Qadri, a very noted Pakistani firebrand, who in no uncertain terms has called for the death penalty for any blasphemy, even with the person, the supposed blasphemer, having asked for forgiveness. So this is the position of the leader that staged some demonstration in Copenhagen, supposedly in support of Lars Hedegaard. Did the journalists know that? Did the journalists
No, of
go to
course
those
not.
people and say, excuse me, your leader, it says here in English, because I know, because Lars Hedegaard actually wrote an article 5 or 6 years ago quoting the man's work.
Right.
It says that your leader wants the death penalty for blasphemers. Have you broken with your leader? Is this demonstration for real? No, that doesn't
Right.
happen. But you see,
Right.
we have to become educated to that and understand what is not being reported.
But actually, this leader would be considered a moderate anyway. This is what the label
Well,
is for a this
yeah,
is a moderate
exactly.
Muslim because he's not actually picking up the sword himself. He's not calling for jihad. He's wearing a suit. He's living in Europe, and he's a moderate.
Well, he's called, the Times man describes him as controversial. He describes the group as controversial. So that's as close as you get to any kind of, you know, understanding a group has a hard line on blasphemy. It doesn't describe
Oh.
what that hard line is, which you find out is death, according to its leader anyway. And he doesn't mention that. So again, you know, it is Lars Hedegaard who is the one who's considered the polemicist and the
Right.
odious. He uses words like odious and vile and, you know, detest, all these extremely strong words describing Lars,
Mhm.
whereas this particular group, that if you say the wrong thing, the leader says you should be killed, that is controversial
Is-
at most.
Is blasphemy ever described? What's the definition of
blasphemy ever-
blasphemy as far as these people are concerned, the ones calling for the death penalty for blasphemy?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Yeah. The Muslim how do the Muslims define blasphemy?
Well, it falls under the rubric of criticizing of words that are considered in any way negative about Islam, about the Prophet of Islam. It's a very wide category, and it's gotten an awful lot of people into terrible trouble, whether the death sentence was carried out or not. I mean, we go back to Salman Rushdie and the fatwa against Salman Rushdie, which really transfixed us for so long without most of us understanding what it was all about, including Salman Rushdie, it seems. I read his memoir a few months ago, and he does not discuss the Islamic doctrine that drives the fatwa against him. It's very strange. So we've taught ourselves not to look at the source, and it's led to all this terrible confusion. So then the question becomes, who is to blame? And you come back to Lars Hedegaard for writing about the fact that this leader calls for death, because that is the kind of thing he writes about, and this man in the New York Times is telling us that that is objectionable, and speeches are worse than anything else. Giving talks. There's actually a Danish academic quoted that says that brutal words and brutal physical acts are basically the same. And I wanted to ask him, which one would you like coming at your neck or your family's neck?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
brutal words or brutal acts? I mean,
Exactly.
it's utter madness.
It's complete madness, and it's madness at 3:32 in the afternoon on the East Coast. This is Tom Trento, your host on TrentoVision.tv. That's the video side, the TV side of our internet broadcast going worldwide, going into Denmark, going into Europe, going all over the place. And on the radio side, we're on WNN 1470, 50,000 watt station, folks, going from Miami to Orlando and out to those Glades things we were just speaking about. Right now, we have a special guest with us. Looks like every Thursday. We're going to have Diana West. Make sure you spell it dianawest.net. You have to go there. She has a fabulous article entitled The New York Times on the would-be, might-have-been assassination of Lars Hedegaard. And Diana has a unique way of turning a phrase and being sarcastic when necessary. But
I think she's fabulous.
You got to look at this article. And Diana, I think what we're going to do with Lars, because we know in the weeks, months ahead, particularly with this administration, now that John Kerry is the oh, okay, there's our French. Those are our French folks. Have a Pavlov experience whenever I mention the name Curry. That's their French laugh. But with all of this, we know there's going to be, with the OIC, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, more and more efforts to redefine, as you asked a bit earlier, CJ, redefine a category of speech which we would call screwing with or criticizing. Put in the religion, in this case it's Islam. You can't do that with Islam. We know there's going to be more and more movement in that direction. I see on our show here, because we have 3 hours, and we're not the typical type of show where we hit something and run, get on to the next subject, though we have to do that right now.
Yeah.
But I see a good hour, maybe a 2-hour briefing for Americans, where we bring Lars in, we bring you in, we bring a couple of other people doing work on free speech issues nationally and internationally, and we put this unique briefing together where people can call in and talk to everybody. What do you think about that?
I think it's a great idea because it is something you're not going to get unless we provide it. We help people find sources that provide this information. It's vital, and the mainstream, the lamestream, all of that, not doing its job.
No.
Yeah,
no.
instead of
Doesn't even know it has one.
No, it doesn't. Instead of having a conference, which is great, in Washington or in Amsterdam or something that costs thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, we'll bring everybody.
Right.
How many, Mark? How many people can we have in on our feeds now, Skyped and all that?
Millions, Tom, millions.
Millions. Okay, we could have 6-8 people, almost a million, and we could have a grand old time and produce a product then that can be not only seen live. That's always a lot of fun. But then broadcast out later by everyone's own organization.
Speaking of which, Diana, did you get my? Did
Yes,
you get your new
she did,
camera?
yeah.
Did you get your new camera yet?
Well, I haven't gotten it yet, but I got your emails, and that is on my assignment list.
Yes, our
All right.
to-do list.
I thank you for that.
All right.
All right, that's Mark. CJ, you had a question. Then I want to move on to a couple of other items and
there
get your
just a couple
opinion.
of things that I want to bring up relating to your article. One is this new fad that we have in the mainstream media. I don't know if it's international or if it's just the United States, but we now don't say Muhammad anymore. We say the Prophet or the Prophet Muhammad. So that's one part. And then the other part is these so-called journalists who are so concerned about blasphemy laws relating to Islam. These are the same journalists who have no problem at all covering stories about art exhibits in which people are peeing on the image of Jesus Christ or something like that, and they will run article after article after article defending the right of as free speech. So why this double standard with Islam? What's so special about them? Why do they need to be handled differently?
They're special. That's why. They're special.
I can answer that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
The answer is because even if you draw a cartoon of Muhammad, you might get killed. And they learned
kill
this
you.
lesson. They did not fight it. I mean, I remember back several years ago now. I remember talking to a very very long-term Washington cartoonist, an excellent cartoonist. He used to be at the Washington Times. Before that, he was at the Washington Star. He was just a lovely, lovely man. And he was mad, as you can imagine, because the Washington Times was not running the Danish cartoons, as was no other major newspaper,
Right.
and most magazines. And he said to me, and I so agreed, that if everybody got together, all the newspapers, if the association, the American Association of Newspaper Editors had gotten together, asked me, and said, okay, on October 1, we are all running the cartoons. Bang.
Yep.
He would have seen the end of the problem.
Yep.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
everyone was afraid. And the fear factor worked its way into a rationale of sensitivity, of inclusiveness, of all these words you hear that now end up with the New York Times article again today, actually discussing the movement by these Danish Muslims into the Middle East to try to incite rioting as them recognizing that there was blasphemy in Denmark and they needed to sound the alarm. I can find you the exact phrase. It's so shocking. Maybe I should. You think you've been shocked, but then you hear it. It says,
Right.
yes, he said that they sent a delegation to Egypt and Lebanon to sound the alarm over Danish blasphemy. I mean, the idea, the reporter is taking the idea that there is such a thing in the first place,
Right, exactly.
Right.
and that going to the Middle East and starting riots is sounding the alarm. I mean, the concept here that the reporter does not even recognize as being
Yeah.
foreign to any sort of freedom-seeking and freedom-living people is extraordinary. And if you go back into your original question about when did we start calling just the Prophet Muhammad, I've known very forthright young journalists who didn't even realize that language had crept into their lexicon. And I said, hey, you don't have to say that. You can say the Islamic Prophet Muhammad or the Prophet of Islam or just plain Muhammad. And in fact, I have my old trusty AP style book
Right.
from many years ago.
Right.
It's probably a late 80s issue I have here.
Yeah.
And it just lists, I just looked up Muhammad, and it just says the preferred, spelling for the name of the founder of the Islamic religion, Muhammad.
Yeah,
No,
because-
the Prophet Muhammad. You don't see the Prophet Moses or the Prophet Jesus or the Savior Jesus
Exactly,
or anything
exactly.
like that. And so this is part of the dimification that
Yeah.
we're looking at, this
And how long
internalization.
Yeah. And how long
Yeah.
before we have to say Piba after we say Mohammed? Are we all going to have to say
That's a
peace
scary
be upon
thought.
him? And off with your head
Right.
if you don't. But let me ask you:
Right.
Is this real racism then on the part of these intellectual, cultural elites that we have in the West, who basically have a different standard for people who are Muslims, people who are Arabs, people who are deemed not fit in some way to be responsible for themselves?
Well, there's that. Although there is no race involved per se, it is kind of religionism, I guess, or something. But it's basically fealty. I mean, it's basically fealty to Islam, which is very easily recognized from the history books, where they discuss other cultures who are either under the law of Islam or acting under the law as if they are under the law of Islam, which of course is this notion of the culture of dhimitude, which the great historian Bat Yor has written so eloquently and perceptively about in many of her books. It is this notion that you are not necessarily, your laws still look like your framework, your constitution's there, your local code and all that, and yet your behavior, you are behaving as though you were under the sway of Islamic law,
Right.
because you are accepting these various dictates. And
But
one of them would be to refer
Yeah.
to Muhammad as the Prophet Muhammad.
Right, right. Well, I think, culturally, I think this was preceded in a very racist way by our coverage of issues from Africa. Before we recognized the dangers of Islam, and we were talking about post-colonial Africa. Basically, the discussion is that we're at fault for the problems of Africa. If
We're
there's
the
famine, if
colonizers,
there's
sure.
war, if there's civil war, and we have to do something to atone for our past. We have to throw the money at the problem because racially these people are not responsible for themselves. Obviously, they're not capable of governing themselves, and this translated, I think, to our perception of Arabs, and then it became Islam altogether.
And I'd like to add one other quick point on that. I'm going to disagree a little bit with Diana, and it's respectfully, because
This is Mark speaking.
when I see them out, when we interact with the Islamists in the community, they really think of themselves as a race.
What do you mean by Islamist?
You know, the people,
Mark, what do you mean by Islamist?
Yeah.
people of Islam, because they're all Islamists in my book. As far as if they're not denouncing Islam, then they are Islamist. Okay, the I know you don't like that term.
It has no meaning.
Yeah, we're
But go
gonna
ahead.
get
has
some
no
fan-
meaning. It has
yeah,
no
we're
meaning.
gonna get some fan mail now.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're following Islam, you have to follow Islam.
Yeah,
If you're not
either-
following Islam, then you're not following Islam. Okay.
Yeah.
The issue I'm trying to make is when we go out in the community, especially the leadership of these communities, really view themselves as a race, in the sense
As a superior
as a
race.
superior race, as in light like there were Jews who were superior, and I understand the fallacy of the concept. I really do. However, I think this fallacy of concept has come from the genocide mentality against Jews. So there's a race mentality, like a religion can be a race. So therefore, if the Jews can become a race, then they can become a race, and they can become a superior race. And that's kind of their whack thinking on this thing.
Right. Well, yes, I would agree with much of what you're saying, that it is a very supremacist creed, but I don't think it's not strictly a matter of race as most Americans understand it, between, European descended peoples and African descended peoples, for example, where there's racial differences that are apparent very often. I mean, people transfer into Islam, they revert, as the Muslims say,
Right,
from
right.
any
That's
race.
right.
So there is, however, a pecking order. Certainly
Right.
the Arabs are
That's
superior
the point I
to
was
the
trying to
other
make, yes.
Muslims. Yes, I would agree with that. Yeah.
All right,
Especially
Diana,
in prisons,
let me
especially
move,
in prisons.
Let me move off of that issue right now and throw a couple of other little current event concerns out at you. We had Chuck Hagel get confirmed by the U.S. Senate the other day, and it was a bizarre series of votes. Your quick take on the Hagel process to be confirmed, and then the Hagel regime. What are you looking forward to?
Well, funny you should ask me that next, because that is the subject of my column this week, which is now being previewed for the first time on Trento Vision.
All right.
I have to say that I have perhaps a slightly different take on the Hagel situation than most, because I spent the last few weeks rather perplexed as to why Chuck Hagel got all the heat when, for example, John Kerry, Mr. Negotiate with the Viet Cong back in 1971, didn't get asked a single question about these treasonous activities. He was voted through, I think it was only 3 dissenting votes.
Yeah.
And then you
It was
had,
very
for
quiet,
example,
and then a quiet swearing
That was
in
fine.
ceremony, like you didn't even hear
No,
about
I
it
didn't
until
really
after.
even know it
It
took
was
place.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Then you had, for example, the foreign monies. Now, I'm not saying I'm a fan of Hagel. I am not. I think what I agree on with Chuck Hagel has to do with bringing American troops out of the hellholes of Iraq and Afghanistan and promising they will never nation build again, which I think is something he truly believes in. I share that. However, that's about where we end our overlap. However, with foreign money, yes, I don't think any figure who is accepting foreign money from foreign governments and very, unsavory figures from around the world should be qualified, should be approved for public office in general. So I'm not arguing that his foreign money should not have come under scrutiny. However, what about Madam Clinton? You have
Oh, yeah.
money to the point of, $500 million sluicing in from all over the Arab world, the Islamic bloc countries and elsewhere, Nigeria, Jordan, Bahrain, Saudi, you name it. It's coming into those coffers of her husband's foundation.
Yep.
Did the Senate ask a single difficult question when she was confirmed?
No.
Not really. She had one dissenting vote coming out of committee back in 2009, Senator Vitter, and she had two dissenting votes when she was confirmed Secretary of State. No questions about foreign money. I kept wondering, why Hagel? Why? I don't like his Turkish money. I don't like, his money from other regions such as that, Bahrain, wherever. I mean, this is disturbing. Then you even look at John Brennan. Now, John Brennan, he's kind of on a hot seat. He will never be asked about the really tough questions. But again, he was asked some questions, but he will always skate through, for example, on his gross misinformation or disinformation about jihad. He will skate through John Guandolo's allegations that he was subject to a Saudi influence operation and converted to Islam while he was station chief. He will not be asked about what happened in 2008 when he was CEO of a security company who's had an employee who helped breach, remember, the
Yes,
passport
that's
records
right,
security
yeah.
for
Department.
passport information for Obama.
He will get a pass.
Right.
He will get a he will get a pass. So
Not
again,
from
I was
us,
looking
he
at the
won't.
Hagel
from
thing.
Not
us,
from us.
no.
We will be all over that.
No, not from you,
Yes,
but I'm
that's
talking
right.
about our senators.
Yes,
Yeah.
of
Our
course.
senators, yeah. So, and even when you look at Panetta had all kinds of upsetting ties to a Communist Party member, Hugh DeLacy, who had associations with super spies who were part of the Silver Master Group, if anyone remembers these sorts of things from the
Oh my
1940s and 50s.
Yeah.
And then he was connected to the Institute for Policy Studies, a Marxist think tank back in the Reagan 80s.
Yeah.
Did he get any kind of questions? No, he got 100% approval, unanimous confirmation when he became CIA director. So again, these are the kinds of passes that are given. And so I kept wondering, why Hagel?
Yep.
But-
We're starting to push the clock here a little bit, and I want to introduce you to one of our new people. The only answer to that, and it's a short answer right now, is the U.S. Senate has become a good old boys club, and a couple of girls in there.
Yeah.
It's a club.
Yeah.
It's a club, and if the president wants something and the majority is there, the minority party doesn't want to fight it because there's going to be political repercussions later on, and they say, hey, just let it happen. It's bad news. This is why many patriotic Americans are getting very disillusioned with the Republican Party. But Diana, we have a new member on our Trento Vision team. We have, and I'm wondering if our new member, Imam Abdullah, has a question for Diana West by
Okay.
Oh,
by
okay,
chance.
great.
Or a comment. Maybe.
Hi.
Maybe you don't.
Hello,
like the-
Mrs. West, my favorite female infidel. This is Imam Abdullah. I
Oh,
fool you,
sure,
you
she's
fool.
your favorite now.
I'm Minister
Uh-huh.
of Takia, and I would like to welcome you to the Trento Show, and thank you for being here. And had a question. How do you think Mr. Hager is going to treat the country of Israel now that he is Secretary of Defense?
Well, I don't think he'll treat it well. I don't think that he'll treat it any differently from the way it would have been treated by any other Obama nominee. That was another thing I was curious about. He if it hadn't been Hagel, it would have been someone else who would carry out President Obama's
Exactly.
policies. He's very much a micromanager, and I don't think anyone's policy, particularly toward an important country like Israel, an important situation, is in any way freelanced.
Yeah.
So this is policy coming from the top.
Yeah.
So they are doomed either way.
It's ugly.
That
sorry?
is so. Israel is doomed either way. Hegel or no Hegel. Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand the
I'm
last
sorry.
part.
Israel is doomed either way with a Hegel.
Yes, in fact I do. I mean, having reelected President Obama, America doomed Israel to a very parlous state of security or lack thereof, and that doesn't change even had Hagel gone down in flames. They're one and the same. If it hadn't been him, it would have been someone else to carry this very punishing policy out. So again, I don't know why everyone wanted to lose all their capital or put it out there for this, because it seemed almost like arresting the $5 drug dealer bag seller as opposed to the cartel owner.
I got a feeling that Imam Abdullah doesn't agree with Diana West on this stuff.
I'm just very happy to hear of the impending destruction of the Zionist regime.
Okay, that's what it is. We'll have to take care of Imam Abdullah. He's our renegade Muslim in the studio here. Drives us crazy, this guy. But in any event, you had one thought you wanted to share with Diana regarding the Tea
Well,
Party?
yeah, I mean,
And then we got about 1 minute.
I don't know if you're aware of this, Diana, but we're tied in with the Tea Party community, teapartycommunity.com. I don't know if you're on there. It's kind of like Facebook for conservatives, and they can watch our show on the Tea Party community website. When you talk about the failures of the Senate, this just has to inspire, hopefully, over 100,000 people who are members to
Yeah,
say,
absolutely.
you know, we have a bigger problem than just voting out 1 or 2 or 50 members of Congress. We've got to shake up the entire establishment, and I think really, if you look out, who's active in the country right now, it's people who identify with the Tea Party. I don't see anybody in the mainstream political parties doing anything to turn this country around in a positive way.
Well, I think that's true, and I think what's really happened is I think the whole notion of checks and balances is so out of whack. And you even hear it with President Obama's State of the Union address. I mean, that State of the Union address was, in a sense, one long out of balance discussion about what he was going to do, and what if the Congress didn't act, what he was going to do. And I mean, it was very frightening to me, because you see the Congress reacting with such little sense of its true power. I mean, the Congress has tremendous powers, not just of the purse. It has investigative powers, subpoena powers. I mean, they are huge, and they are co-equal. They are co-equal with the executive branch and the judicial branch, just as we learned this once upon a time.
Yeah. Say that the media, the mainstream.
Anyway, we're at the end of our hour with Diana West again. I know, DianaWest.net. I know.
Favorite journalist of all time.
And you have friends in Trento
Goes by
Vision,
so
except
quick.
for that Imam Abdullah. I don't know about that guy.
I think he's sweet on you.
He may be.
She's very pretty.
Burqa, right?
You look prettier than a burqa, right,
Yes,
Imam?
would be very nice and burqa.
You would look very pretty covered up.
I don't think Diana's going to be wearing a burqa, even on Hijab Day, which was a couple of weeks ago. But Diana, once again, thank you. This was the Dead Grown Up Hour, and as we can see, sadly,
We're all alive here at Trento.
Yeah, we're alive
Vision.
here.
Starting to create a new graphic for
Great.
the Dead Grown Up Hour.
Yeah, we're going to have to create a graphic for that.
Yeah, we'll
for
have
sure.
to ask Mort for one of
Okay.
those. Maybe.
So, but you have a wonderful
you.
week.
Kill, feel free to break in
All
at
right.
any time.
See you later. Take care.
Take
Bye-bye.
care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, and right now, Tom Trento, CJ, the rest of the crew here. We have to say goodbye for just a few minutes. We'll be back right after the top of the hour. Tom Trento signing off for just a little bit. Obama next.
She is so well spoken. I think it threw her.
But she has a sense of humor. She does, but she's a very, so
Where was she educated? You know? She spent her whole life in the US, or
Sitting there alone for hours and hours in pain and suffering, waiting to see a doctor who doesn't know me or my medical history. But this is something I'm no longer concerned with because I'm a patient of Dr. Joel Silverman.
Steve, your best advocate in an emergency is your personal physician, wherever you are and whatever time it is. In my practice, my patients know that they call me first before they call 911, and they're never alone. I might be able to keep you out of the hospital, or I can call ahead and make sure that that ER doctor knows who you are and knows that your doctor is backing you up. That's personalized medicine. Who better but your doctor to care for you in the office, hospital, and the long but not forgotten house call?
Folks, call Dr. Joel Silverman at 561 area code 826-7241 or go to drjoelsilverman.com. He's located on Palmetto and Powerline in Boca. Tell him Steve sent you.
In times of joy, in moments of grief, broadcasters come through, even when all else fails. Today, with more ways than ever to experience the moments that transform our lives, Americans still choose broadcast radio and television more than all other media combined. We are the local broadcasters of radio and television, reaching more people, touching more lives. Brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station. In the wake of a disaster, what one thing can you send that will help people the most? A blanket, a tent, a sandbag, a doctor. Actually, if you send a monetary donation, you send all these things. Even a small donation can make a big impact and can quickly become exactly what people affected by disaster need most.
Want to help those affected by Hurricane Sandy? To donate, visit sandy.adcouncil.org. That's sandy.adcouncil.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Download the iRadio Now app for iPhone or Android phones. Free at your iPhone App Store or Android App Market. Take AM 1470 WWNN with you wherever you go. This is Health and Wealth Radio, AM 1470, WWNN Pompano Beach, and WKIS HD3, Boca Raton, Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
USA Radio News, I'm Hope Duggar. The papacy of Benedict XVI is officially over. His 8-year pontificate came to an end shortly after 8 p.m. local time when the Swiss guard standing at attention in Castel Gandolfo shut the gates of the Palazzo. Before leaving the Vatican, Benedict gave a speech to cardinals pledging his unconditional reverence and obedience to his successor. He's the first pope in 600 years to resign. After many delays, the Army psychiatrist charged in the 2009 Fort Hood shooting rampage will go on trial in 3 months. The military judge today set Major Nadal Hassan's court-martial for May 29th. After about 4 weeks of jury selection, testimony will begin July 1st. The judge, Colonel Tara Osborne, says she expects testimony in the trial to last up to 3 months. The government has nearly 300 witnesses. Hassan faces the death penalty or life without parole if convicted of 13 counts of premeditated murder and 32 counts of attempted premeditated murder in the attack on the Texas Army post. This is IRN USA Radio News.
Attention! Are you spending over $100 a month for your prescription medications? Are your prescription medication costs too high? Can't afford to refill your medications? Well, we've got great news! You are now eligible to get your medications through GetYourMedicationFree.com at little or no cost to you. Call 800-771-2138 or go to GetYourMedicationFree.com right now. One of our members, William, reduced his prescription fees from over $9,000 a year to just $180 a year. And Linda was paying over $750 a month. But now she gets her medications free. Even if you have no insurance, you can get your medications free or at very little cost. And if you do have insurance, you can maximize your current health plan benefits. And if you call right now, we'll include our wellness panel, a $500 value free. Call 800-771-2138 or go to GetYourMedicationFree.com right now. That's 800-771-2138. GetYourMedicationFree.com.
President Obama is admitting that the Defense of Marriage Act is constitutional. Our correspondent Sean Scott Ferguson has more.
President Obama, who simply said his administration will stop defending the Federal Defense of Marriage Act because he doesn't like it, has admitted in a court brief that the law that says for federal purposes only marriage between one man and one woman will be recognized is constitutional. WorldNet Daily reports. That's from the Alliance Defending Freedom, a premier civil and religious rights legal team that analyzed the Obama team's filings in a challenge now pending before the U.S. Supreme Court. The defense of the federal law has been taken up by others since Obama, and his Attorney General Eric Holder announced they were simply abandoning the defense of marriage law approved by Congress and signed by President Clinton.
Venezuela's vice president says President Hugo Chavez is fighting for his life while he continues to undergo treatment after cancer surgery. Chavez hasn't spoken publicly since before his latest cancer operation in Cuba. For the latest news and analysis, log on to IRNUSAnews.com.
Wow, we have so much we have to do around the house.
Awesome! A reason to go to the tool mega sale at Sears this week.
Fix the car.
Up to 50% off all Craftsman Mechanics tool sets. Check.
And the garage is a mess.
Up to 50% off Craftsman tool storage. Booyah!
And the faucet is... Honey, are you okay?
I'm just so excited.
Tackle your to-do list at the Tool Mega Sale this week only at Sears. Hundreds of Craftsman tools on sale in one place. Craftsman, trust in your hands. Exclusions apply. See store for details.
Las Vegas police say they have talked to all 3 women who were in an SUV with a man accused of firing shots that triggered a fiery fatal crash on the Las Vegas Strip. Amar Harris is the subject of a multi-state manhunt following the February 21st gunfire that left 3 people dead. The founder of Subway says he couldn't start his business under today's burdensome regulations. Here's our correspondent, John Russell.
What does it take to start a small business? Fred DeLuca, founder of Subway Sandwich Shops, is more than qualified to answer that question. And
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to Trento Vision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. Trento Vision is hosted by Tom Trento. Tom can be reached at 561-319-5533 or Tom at TrentoVision.tv. Welcome to Trento Vision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. Trento Vision is hosted by Tom Trento. Tom can be reached at 561-319-5533 or Tom at TrentoVision.tv. Listen and watch every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN and TrentoVision.tv. Now, let's get a peek at Tom's view of the world. Here's Tom Trento.
Here we go. Now I can hear myself.
It would help if I turned the mics on.
Yeah, that would be a good thing. Hi, everybody. Once again, Tom Trento, WNN 1470, broadcasting out of Boca Raton, Florida. We are Trento Vision. This is our second hour of 3 hours, 3 fabulous hours. I mean, what else, how else would you want to spend a nice 85 degree, look at the, we got the new clock back. Look, 85 degrees. It's 85 degrees in here.
I know, and we used to complain when it was 75.
Yeah.
And now it's like, hey, cool, it's only 85
It's only
in here.
85.
That's great.
But we're doing television. Television, baby. That's what we're doing. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. We know you have many options to many ways to spend your time right now in beautiful South Florida, but you're an intelligent person. You're a smart person. You're a wise person. And particularly if you just listen to an hour with Diana West, if you had to pay for that, can you imagine if you said, oh, I'd like to go to a Diana West event? And Diana West doesn't have a high-profile name. She's published in...
She will now.
She's published in hundreds of papers. That's right. She's been on Trento.
We're going to make her famous.
She's in hundreds of newspapers, syndicated columnist, expert on national security, one of the authors of Sharia, the Threat to America, the definitive handbook on understanding Islamic Jihad, Sharia, the legal system of Islam, and the modality, the operational agents of implementing the cultural jihad in the United States, the Muslim Brotherhood, or better known as full-time guests at the White House, okay? Yes. Staff at the White House. That's the Muslim Brotherhood right now. And this is our second hour, as I said. Oh, I don't have to look at the clock over here anymore. It's right over there, 4:08. on the East Coast. Welcome everybody in California, and in particular, a welcome to our Tea Party Community Patriot Partners.
Yeah.
Say hello to them, CJ, while I get a drink of water.
Hi, Tea Party people, and people who identify with the Tea Party who are not actually Tea Party members.
Yeah, we lost the likes again.
What did we lose?
Just go.
Just Phil.
Yes. Keep going. Though you may not be a formal member of a Tea Party, if you get chills when you hear someone singing the Star Spangled Banner, you know what spangled is? I got two different.
What is the spangle?
No, I got two different audios coming in my ear. Whatever you just did is making it. I can't use these.
Is it delay or what?
Yeah, there's about a half a second delay in it.
Okay.
So if you get chills when you hear the Star Spangled Banner, if that flag waving moves your heart a little bit, then you're really a Tea Party person, because a Tea Party person is simply somebody who believes in the flag, believes in the founding principles, and believes that something needs to be done. That the government is out of control with all of this spending, out of control with wanting to shift zillions of dollars to a group of people that could not care less about the principles of America, many of whom don't speak English, don't intend on speaking English. These are pure facts. They might be uncomfortable facts, but they're pure facts. This is what we have to deal with. Yeah. This is why so many people are upset, because you say, how could that individual there, they're part of La Raza, they turn the American flag upside down. They fly the Mexican flag.
On May Day of all days.
On May Day, they get all kinds of money from the government, laughing their asses off, partying in Los Angeles and every place else, and we want to continue this process.
Yeah.
How that's if that offends you, you're a Tea Party person. It's that simple. So hello, all our Tea Party friends.
Well, I think it's not just the government. I think it's the whole country culturally. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm only hearing you this way because
I think it's the whole country has gone off the rails on a crazy train. And
off the rails on a crazy train.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
And people just want to take the country back, culturally, politically, economically.
If you want to take the country, this is good, Mark. Now, if you want to take the country back, culturally, economically, politically, you're a Tea Party person.
Yes.
Face it, okay?
Yeah, just own it, accept it, give into it, and
Well, there's two ways you could be a Tea Party person. T-E-A, the acronym, taxed enough already. People fed up with the excessive taxation policies of President Obama. If that's you, that's what the essence of the Tea Party movement was all about. Taxed enough already, T-E-A. But better yet, what does my first name start with?
T.
What's my last name start with?
T.
Tea Party. How about that?
There you go.
Okay, there you go. If
it's
you like what we're doing,
teas.
yes, it's a party of teas. If you like what you're hearing at Trento Vision, if you enjoy our crew, even Imam Abdullah. Hi, Imam Abdullah. How are you?
Hello, Mr. Trento. Thank you for having me on show again.
That's okay. It's good to have you here. Now, why are you here again? Remind me.
I'm here just to issue bold-faced lies to you, the American public, and your government, which is so easy. It's unbelievable. It's so easy to fool your government. It is people like you I'm having issues with. And that is why I'm here. I'm here to convince you that you have nothing to worry about.
Okay.
The Muslim Brotherhood, they are your brothers too.
Okay. All right. We're an open-minded...
the Friends of Children Everywhere.
We're an open-minded organization.
Peace and justice.
Okay. Peace and justice. That's good. All right. Yeah. All right. So
I think he's just here to provide color, but...
I want everybody to know that...
Very racist.
That Imam Abdullah... Imam Abdullah, he may actually be at Ron Bergeron's Green Gables Ranch tomorrow evening in Weston. We're all going. Grab your boots. Going to be a fun time. Myself, Tom Trento, and the gang will all be over there. And if you want information on the Wild Wild West night tomorrow night, I mean, what Friday night, Wild West, out in the Everglades on a big old real live ranch.
I've been there. Have you been
Hoed
there?
down. I have not been there yet.
I went to a Reagan Day barbecue.
Did you
there.
go there?
Yeah, it was really
Is
good.
it cool?
Yeah,
We're
it's
gonna
really
have to
nice
follow
place.
you there. We're gonna have to follow you there when we leave here.
Yeah, that'll happen.
But call the studio 888-565-1470. That's the WN hotline 888-565-1470. Get information as to what you need to do, and you can show up at the door. The tickets are $100 at the door because it's a donation basically, but it's a full meal, full evening of stuff.
And it's a really, really important cause. It really is.
And if you can just donate
Help a lot
25
of
or 50
people.
bucks,
Yeah.
that'd be great. And as we said, one of the key sponsors, and you can see her picture right there.
Yeah.
One of the key sponsors is our general manager at WNN, Bob Morency. And part of this is in honor to his daughter, who was unfortunately killed in an equestrian accident. Notwithstanding that, I mean, there's automobiles accidents every day. People get killed, but you still get in your car and drive. People still get on horses, ride them, and in fact, tomorrow evening is dedicated to the relationship between a horse and a handicapped person, because the data is in. The horses have a unique and special
It's
relationship.
a therapeutic effect for the handicap.
Extremely therapeutic. So we'll see you tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Right now, past hour, we had an analysis of the New York Times absolute skewed and leftist view of a friend of ours, Lars Hedegaard from Denmark, who's a champion of free speech. Diana West laid out I love having sufficient time to go through this in detail, particularly with an expert like Diana. She laid out how the New York Times has once again indicated its inability and lack of desire to get the facts straight. Go read the article about the New York Times view of Lars Hedegaard's would-be assassination.
It was revolting.
It is revolting. DianaWest.net. The next hour, our third hour, back by popular demand. We did a segment yesterday. How'd you like that segment?
I thought it was terrific.
It was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
It's insane news from around the world, and I read news items, and our team here votes on yes, it's true, or no, it's not true. And once we get the phones hooked up, guess what? We can widen this to our listening and viewing audience. But right now, we'll just have to
We can
determine.
welcome all the squirrels out of the trees.
Yes. And at our 4 or 5 o'clock hour, I have about 4 or 5 news items. And I'll tell you right now, some are true and some are not true.
You mean at 5?
At 5, our 5 o'clock hour.
But now you're going to go.
Yeah, now we're doing
you're gonna
something else.
start
I'm going to tell you about that.
Okay.
But in our 5 o'clock hour, you want to be here for the 5. If you got to go to the bathroom, if you got to run to the store, don't. Wait until 6 o'clock, okay? Just hold it.
Like we will do.
Yes, exactly, like we do. 5 o'clock hour, insane news from around the world. Right now, though, we're going to continue with our national security brief. We're doing a briefing on President Obama. We're laying all of this out so that you can understand why he is doing what he is doing. When you have to fight somebody, and we have to fight this president, we fight him ideologically. We are opposed and against to any sort of physical mention of fighting our government. There's not the time and place. It is a weak position. If you are of the mindset that we need to be in the streets fighting the U.S. government,
no.
Yeah, we lost by 74,000 votes out of 10 million in the state of Florida. Would Mitt Romney have been the savior of conservatism? No.
No.
Would he have
He
not?
wouldn't have nominated Hagel, though.
No, of course not. He would not have purposely moved America in a direction that's destroying her fabric, her foundation, her granite history. So all we need was 36,000 people out of a population of 19 million, a voting population of 12 million, 36,000 people. Calvary Church, it's just Calvary Chapel Church in Fort Lauderdale, has 30,000 people. It's probably 10,000 of voting age. We need 2 or 3 large churches like that in the state of Florida
How
to
about
win the
First
state of
Baptist
Florida.
and-
Yeah, First Baptist.
Yeah.
I mean, so it is not time to go to the streets to fight the government, nothing like that. The way we fight is by putting information out, by supporting the information factually so that you see clearly the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we move in the direction of the good. Right now, we're going to show you the bad
And the ugly.
and the ugly.
Yeah.
So-
you could take the camera off me.
No. You have fans out there.
It's very popular.
You know, I'm looking at sequestration here.
Oh boy.
We should, let's just get everybody up to date on sequestration. As we explained, and those of you just tuning in, sequestration is simply a fancy term meaning to cut back, to hold back. And the one who sequesters is the U.S. Treasury. The various departments, there's 8 or 9 departments, transportation, energy, labor, defense, 8 or 9 departments that have submitted their budgets, and their budgets are too much. We don't have the money in the U.S. Treasury to pay for the budgets that each of these departments have submitted. And as a result of our legislators over the past 18 months not being able to cut a budget deal, President Obama wants higher taxes and more money given to the sacred cows, Medicare and Social Security and immigration and all of this. There was a standstill in Congress, and an automatic budget cut went into place called sequestration, and it goes into place tomorrow. It expired. The timeline to cut a deal expires today, and they're nervously trying to put something together right now in Congress. Nobody sees anything occurring out of that. If somebody could check, Mike or somebody, to see if the U.S. Congress has done anything on sequestration. I do not think they have.
Yeah, I've been looking it up.
It would be a miracle. Well, the U.S. Treasury is going to hold back 2.4%. Okay, so if you had $100 to operate on, now you're going to have to operate on $97.40. Okay, $97.60. So you get a $2.40 cutback in the amount of money you have budgeted. And typically that amount of money is still higher than what you had the year before. Why is the apocalypse coming per President Obama, though? Yesterday he started to contradict his own position. Yesterday the president said, well, now I want everybody to understand when sequestration hits on Friday, some people may not immediately feel the effects. Some may never feel the effects. But if you're part of the is here, then you're most likely going to feel the effects. So he's already starting to cover his tracks because he knows Trento Vision, Steve Kane, Fox, Limbaugh, all the conservatives are going to hold him accountable with his words. And he's going to look like an idiot. That's what he's going to look like. So Republicans in Congress, don't cave on this. Let sequestration happen. Let the cuts happen. America will be okay. And you know what? If our empire falls because of a 2.4% tax cut, it was built not on sand, it was built on air. Okay?
Actually, Rush Limbaugh had an interesting comment on
What did he say today?
Which is
You're not on. Your mic's not on. No, I'm not hearing you. So Mark is setting up his mic, and
yes, it is.
Now
It's
it
on?
is. There it is.
All right, yeah. Rush Limbaugh had an interesting comment on sequestration. He said, and it's an interesting theory, is that that this is just a ruse to set up for the real budget cuts that are coming in 5 weeks that are going to really disable the country. And he's just trying, Obama's trying to lay the groundwork to say that you have to have big government to
Right.
solve your problems. And therefore, this little minor sequestration thing, which is a very, really a pittance on everything, compared to what the real budget cuts are coming, is when the government does run out of money, and what the calamity is going to be, what the starvation is going to be, and everything like that. That's what he's really setting us up for.
It makes a lot of sense to me. That's for sure. I mean, the as we get into the brief, we will see that there very few of the president's steps, very few of his policies are just winging it. Everything really has a reason and a rationale to it. I'm looking for my Hagel. Where is my Hagel?
You know, I've been. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I noticed in the last few days that I've been seeing a lot of commercials about how many hungry people there are in the United States. Have you seen these?
Yeah, like 50 million or something.
Yeah, like 50 million hungry people, and 1 out of 5 families can't feed their children every day, and it's all Hollywood driven, and I guess there's a movie coming out about it or something like that. But I thought it was very ironic that it's coming up during this week with the issue of
all of this stuff
like,
is orchestrated.
Like to make it seem as if we really do have a food crisis in this country. Because right next to that, the top news story is going to be about how obese Americans are, and therefore we need our government leaders to mandate how many ounces of soda we can order at a time. Which is it, guys?
Well,
are we
course.
going hungry, or are we eating ourselves to death?
Well, let's do this on Trento Vision at 4:24, 20 minutes after 4 o'clock on a really beautiful final day in the month of February. We just walked outside during the break, and it's really, really nice. We took the elevator up.
It's nice to get out of the bunker for a couple of minutes.
And it's a beautiful day. And on this last day of February, maybe we'll put this offer out at Trento Vision. Why don't we do this? If there is a hungry family in the United States of America, a family that simply doesn't have food, doesn't have access to food, can't figure out how to eat, and you got to be a family, you have to be at least a mother. You don't need a father, but a lot of families without fathers, a higher rate.
Does a 2-father family count?
A 2-father no, they're high income brackets, those families. But we'll take a mother and at least 1 kid. You can be a mother and 20 kids, a mother and 6 kids, a mother, and it has to be your kids. Okay, it has to be a family. And I'm putting this out to all the United States of America. If you are a mother with kids and you haven't eaten, 2 or 3 days, and you have no idea, you don't have money, and you're wherever you are, and you don't know where to go to get help, and no one will feed you, contact us. You can call the studio, 888. How are they going to make a phone call? But if somebody knows this, because they got an Obama phone, that's what they're going to do.
Everybody has a phone.
Use your Obama phone and 888-565-1470 and say, I'm hungry. Can Trento Vision get us food? We will check you out. If you're legitimate, we will absolutely help you. And because there are so many programs that the government has. But forget about all of that.
How about your community? How about the church down the street from you? How about your next door neighbor?
I've been in this work a long time, and I have utilized the Christian church so much in helping immediate needs of people that are legitimately in trouble.
Yeah.
The ones gaming and scamming, we find you out real quickly and you're on your own. Okay, you don't want to work, you don't eat.
Yeah.
But if you're really in a situation where you don't have food, I will make you a personal promise. We will do everything we can to help you find food, help you get the help you need to get over the hump you're in. And we're going to do it through a Christian church. And they may say, there's a little bit of rules with this if you want food. You're going to have to clean yourself up. You're going to have to sit down and take some instruction on how to find a job. I mean, they're not just going to dole out food and say, hey, go do what you want. They're going to try to repair all of you, to help all of you. And I made a similar offer like this once on the pro-life issue. Mm-hmm. All these if it's up to you, Trento, and you're pro-lifers, and people don't have abortion, there'll be millions of unwanted kids. I put out, I said, I will work and help any kid, black, green, Down syndrome, Tay-Sachs, any baby who's unwanted in the United States of America, call me. I gave out my personal number. You can call the studio. This was on the pro-life issue, and I will help you. We'll take the baby if you don't want the baby, and we'll get the baby adopted, because there's a long waiting line in the United States for people to adopt black babies, green babies, purple babies, sick babies,
how many
whatever.
babies do we adopt every year from China, from from different African countries, from different countries of the former Soviet Union and Eastern Europe.
No, it's unbelievable, and I got no calls, but I did get involved in helping many babies get adopted, and a very close friend of mine adopted 3. You ready for this? 3 cleft palate babies from China. From China, took 3 cleft palate babies in from China, and phenomenal plastic surgeons, pediatric plastic surgeons, have worked for the past 10 years repairing the cleft palates of these little beautiful babies. And in the pro-life movement, there are very serious people who will reach out. Well, in the food movement, there are people too. Forget about the stupid apocalyptic warnings. All of you people that are peasants and leftists, you are buying right into that mentality of Obama being your monarch and you being the peasant that you're functioning as.
Yeah.
Okay, I got this great picture. We're going to show this picture. And then we're going to move on to
Can I
our
just
brief.
add one thing about the food
Yeah,
thing?
add that on.
Where you said, a family, like, a mother and at least one child, or a father and
It's
at
gotta
least
be a
one
real
child.
family,
Yeah. I think there is a hunger problem in the United States. It's probably more for the elder and not able to take care of themselves as well. They do have malnutrition problems.
Well, if you know that situation, now think of that in an urban area.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who you see every day who you don't notice, and you don't know what kind of distress that they're in, but they're not taken care of properly.
The same help goes out for those individuals, and it'll take us 3 phone calls to find a church or a synagogue or somebody close by that'll say, all right, we'll get over there, we'll take care of it, we'll analyze it, we'll look at it.
Yeah.
And but again, if you go to a religious organization that's legitimate, it is not just going to be, what do you want, food? I'll just give you a lot of food and go back to your lifestyle. It's going to be no. You're going to have to make some changes. And this is the way it is. I'll tell you what, whoever is paying the bill for your food is going to try to help you. I'll bet in a religious organization, Jewish, Christian, any of those organizations, the help you get there is going to be infinitely better than the uncaring people as part of the federal government. Here's your meat and potatoes and your eggs and your car.
No,
and
they
all
make
that
you
stuff.
fill out a bunch of forms, and then they leave you to it.
Yep. Now, switching gears to Chuck Hagel, I just got a new drawing from Mozart, and look at this. Let's roll this thing up. This is pretty classic Mort. Sergeant General Chuck Hagel. He wasn't a Sergeant General or whatever that is, but Secretary of Defense. He's shooting himself through the head with the American flag upside down. And why is it upside down?
Because the whole country is upside down.
Yeah, well, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Sign of distress.
Yeah, when the flag is flown upside down, it's a sign of distress. Mort is a Navy guy; he knows that. So that is that this guy has shot himself essentially with America's in distress, and he's got all kinds of symbols. Mort does on him: anti-military, are us, we hate guns, ships, tanks, and planes. Be nice, don't fight. He's got every.
And the interesting thing is, you could substitute John Kerry, his picture for Hagel's.
Yeah, these guys now. Mort, how could you draw? Mort, how could you draw something like this when Chuck Hagel served with distinction in Vietnam? Well, he did, and we thank him for that. But
what has he done lately?
Yeah, what has he done lately? A lot of people served with distinction in Vietnam, and some became murderers and thieves and desperados and brigands. Chuck Hagel became all of those. He got elected to the Senate. So and his views now, you can't judge a man completely by his past. His past has to reflect somewhat what he's doing now. Mm-hmm. And somewhere he went off the rails in terms of particularly foreign policy and national defense. So you can take that off, and Mort, keep your tremendous work. I can take that off. Coming, we will play it whenever we can. All right, we're going back to Obama. I'm going to open this up. Tom Trento at 33 minutes past 4 o'clock. You are listening to Trento Vision with CJ, Mike, Mark, and Imam Abdullah. Imam Abdullah. How are you today, Imam Abdullah?
Abdullah
Very good, very good.
Are you going to be with us every day?
I am hoping to.
What
As
country?
long as the camel does not break down, I shall be here.
Okay, good. What country are you from?
Pakistan.
Oh.
Pakistan or Pakistan? How do you pronounce
Pakistan, very close to the Indian part. That's why I know some people say I sound a little Indian.
Oh.
But it's in the Kashmiri region, and
did you smoke a lot of hash when you were a child?
a little bit of the hash and some opium. We love the opium.
You guys have nukes by any chance?
Yes, a lot of them.
Okay, good. Well, we're going to deal with you. All right. Here we are. Whatever happened to this yesterday? Now, you got to follow along as we get into this brief here. 4:34 on Trento Vision. We welcome you. It's 85 degrees in our wonderful studio. What is it outside today?
It's 64.
64. It's 20 degrees warmer
no,
in
it
here.
just went up too. It's 66.
66 degrees.
Wow.
20 degrees cooler in outside than our wonderful studio. But our next hour, we're going to bring you insane news from around the world. Right now, we're going to dive into a very interesting national security briefing on President Obama. And as I said, this is going to take a couple of weeks to do this. We'll give you a little bit each day.
because we're only going to do 10 minutes at a time.
It's going to do a little bit each day. It's pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah.
But yesterday, if you can put this slide up, guys, we'll show everybody this slide. And for our listening audience, we're very in tune with the fact that you cannot see what is on the screen, but we will paint a beautiful picture. Right here is the Dome of the Rock, the shot we had yesterday. We said that the city of Jerusalem, from a national security perspective, is the epicenter of the world right now. We have the clash of three religions. Judaism, which was there first for over 3,000 years, then Christianity, then Islam. Today, all are represented. If you go to the old city, which is Jerusalem, the old part of Jerusalem, which was Jerusalem from the 2000 BC, if you go there, right now, the old city is divided into 4 quarters. Anybody know what the 4 quarters are? Mike, you should know.
The 4 quarters of Jerusalem?
Yeah, of the old city.
No. Should I know?
You were there last year.
Like the different quarters, like we were in the Jewish quarter.
The Jewish quarter.
The Muslim quarter.
The Muslim quarter.
The Christian quarter.
Christian quarter.
And the agnostic quarter.
The agnostic quarter.
The Unitarian quarter.
The Unitarian quarter, yeah.
The unicorn quarter.
There's a 4th corner. Anybody know? Give us a call. Oh, I'm sorry. You can't call us.
Did Scientology move there?
Is anybody monitoring the chat thing on Trento Vision?
Yeah,
oh, no. Why do that? Mike, you should be monitoring the chat. Why don't you get your computer?
It's right here.
The Lord has spoken.
All right. Let's see if anybody in the chat knows the name of the 4th quarter. The Dallas Cowboys are ahead in the 4th. If you know the name of the 4th quarter, we got the Jewish quarter, the Muslim quarter, the Christian quarter, and then there's a 4th quarter.
Is it really called the Muslim quarter?
Yeah.
The Arab.
The Arab quarter, yeah.
Everybody on chat know this answer.
Let's see if anybody knows it on chat. They're all looking it up on their Google things. If you Googled, you cheated, okay? If you Googled, you cheated. You should know it. But in any event, we have the world's religions clashing in Jerusalem.
Is there a Pakistani quarter?
Is there?
No Pakistani quarter. We reside in the Muslim quarter. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, with all your little trinkets that you're selling there. And it smells in the Muslim quarter. It really does.
You have to park the camel somewhere.
Okay, good. All right, so we're here now, back to this brief, and we'll get the 4th quarter name in a second.
Well, what's interesting about the Muslims? Orthodox?
No.
That's a guess.
No. That was a pretty good guess, but no.
The
starts with an A. How about that? I'll give you an A.
Agnostic.
Armenian.
The Armenian quarter.
That was Ustream user 234.
All right, let's give that Ustream user a hand. The Armenian quarter. That's right. What were you going to say?
Hit the donation button for $1.
Yeah. What were you going to say,
We'll
Mark?
make a good movie.
It was interesting when we were there in Israel, when we went.
A year ago, right now, basically.
And
When
going
we were
back in
there,
October.
Yes,
we
going back
felt
in
totally safe. You know, even we saw Muslims there. We saw everybody there in the Jewish quarter. Everybody felt totally safe. But as soon as you walked into the Muslim quarter, you had
It got dark.
You had to hold your hand on your wallet. Everybody's bumping up against you, and everybody was staring at you. Like, what are you doing in here?
All men, mostly
all
men.
all men, and nothing but evil eyes. And
It
stuff
got
like
narrower, it got dark, it got dirty, no lights. I mean, it was really
It was-
The
bad.
black
No.
cloud of Daedalus
And
hangs
we were
over it.
told by our person that you must go through there very, very quickly, because if you don't, something.
We had
really
3 armed bodyguards with us, one
Right.
in the front, one in the middle, and one in the back.
And
It was
we-
crazy.
And
yeah.
we just had to storm right through there, as far as that was concerned. But no,
It was
I'm
weird. It was
I'm
weird.
a big guy, and I felt intimidated.
Yeah, it was
I was
weird.
like, my head was on a swivel the whole time.
I mean, somebody could shiv you in a second, and but we also went behind the scenes to the Israeli police department and how they patrol that quarter in particular, with 300 cameras, with undercover agents that are Muslim agents, look like Muslims, they're Jewish people, and they keep the place very, 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 very safe. So it is safe for tourists. And we'll be back in October with Ron Wexler, and we'll have him on the show as soon as we get some of these details sorted out. And we're going to start pushing that trip, because you want to be there in October. It's going to be exciting. There's a picture of the Dome of the Rock. And now, moving on, we said there was an epic battle. In the players in the epic battle, in the epicenter of national security for the United States, for the West, for the Mideast, for Europe, President Obama heading up in one corner, President Obama heading up the world's only superpower, the United States, but de facto representing the West. Then we have Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, a Westerner born in Israel, educated in the United States, fought for his country, served as Prime Minister, as ambassador to the UN, Prime Minister again. He's in the other corner, representing the West and the East in many respects from a national security perspective. But the point is, Islam and Judaism are fighting over Israel and over Jerusalem in particular, and these two men are going to determine the future, the geopolitical future of that area. As we said, the key to understanding, and this is for our listening audience, the key for understanding the battle in the Middle East is strong horse, weak horse. If you can come to my strong horse, weak horse pictures, there's the strong horse. Here's the weak horse. We're showing pictures of a very strong and healthy and vibrant stallion. Then we're going to an emaciated, half-dead horse. This is the way the Arab mind and the Shia mind, Shia and Sunnis, view enemies. If their enemy is a strong horse, then they adopt a peaceful partnership until such point as they become the strong horse. And conversely, if their enemy is perceived as a weak horse, then the Muslims adopt a strong horse mentality to pounce on the weak horse. Weak horse, strong horse. And I concluded yesterday's little segment with President Obama is a weak horse. He has been, we're critiquing President Obama from the mindset of Islam, from our enemy's mindset. President Obama is viewed as a weak horse when strengthening America. When you let in the Muslim Brotherhood to help guide your presidency, guide your administration, Muslim leaders worldwide laugh like crazy and say, oh my God, we don't even have to fight to gain control of this administration. President Obama is viewed as a weak horse when strengthening America and a strong horse when weakening America. Therefore, he is a dangerous man as it relates to U.S. foreign policy, U.S. national security, home national security. Let me stop there. Any questions that you guys think the audience would ask if they could, then we'll go from there.
No questions.
No questions. All right, let's move on.
Perfectly clear, Tom.
Now we're going to do something that very few people normally get into, because this is an intelligence briefing, and again, it works for our listeners and in particular for our viewers. We've established as the outset this conflict in the Middle East, in Jerusalem, in Israel, and two primary players, Obama and Netanyahu. And we've said that Obama here really holds the cards in many respects, and so we want to understand the way he thinks, the way the president thinks. If we were to take our cameras on the street, and we're going to have to do this, and we asked the question of just go anywhere, go to a mall somewhere and set up a camera and say, hey, what is President Obama's world view? Mike, what would people say?
A passionate person trying to help America. And it's a worldview. He wants to reach out his arm and create negotiations with people to form a brotherhood of sorts.
Okay. What else? What other?
Diplomatic is the word. Diplomatic.
He's a diplomatic, compassionate diplomat. Not bad. Anything else? If we ask people on the street?
He's trying to help you talk about the low information voter?
Just anybody we went to. I mean, the average person. Joe, average Joe six-pack.
He cares. He cares about the little person. He cares about, he's against big oil companies, the big businesses, and, the evil people.
Okay. Anything else? You have anything?
What was the question?
If you just do a survey, and when we build our studio here in Trento Vision, or this is our temporary studio, when we build our bigger one, we will have room for about 20 audience participants. And then we can actually do these kind of focus groups. That'll be pretty interesting.
I was going to say
we'll have to blindfold them to get them in here, but beyond that, we have another person that may have input.
I
Yes.
was just going to say, I think his worldview is literally, he views himself as a citizen of the world. He has no greater
interesting
desire to help America over any other country. He is looking to change America's stature as the lone superpower and to just put us as one of 193 or 4, 5, 6 countries. He does not believe in American exceptionalism. And that I think is his worldview, that we're just arrogant SOBs and he's going to put us in our place.
I don't think America is a superpower anymore because superpowers use their power to affect change, and we do not.
That's a very interesting point. Can you really be a superpower?
You can't be a superpower if you don't use it to refashion the world in the image that you would like it to be in.
If the essence of superpower isn't applied, are you still a superpower?
No.
No.
I would like to ask Mohammed how he views Obama as far as from the Islamic community.
Imam Abdullah? What is your first name? Is it Mohammed?
Abdullah.
Oh, Abdullah.
Yes,
Okay.
Imam Abdullah, I fool you, you fool.
Okay. How do you view President Obama?
I could not be any happier having Mr. Obama, Barry Soetoro, as our president. It makes me feel very good to have the first Muslim in the White House in the history of the United States.
Okay. Thank you.
I could not be happier.
Okay, we thank you for that. You think he is a Muslim then?
Absolutely. His
All right.
father is Muslim.
Okay.
His stepfather was Muslim.
All right. Well, let me. I think what everyone said here is really what we would get out on the street.
Actually have to concur with him because of the other Muslims that I have interviewed in a daily basis in the mosque and even the person who we at the ISNA conference. What was his name? I forget.
Johari Malik, the director of outreach for Dar Al Hijra, the Jihadi Mosque in Falls Church,
They
Virginia.
all view him as a Muslim, and they all view him as and they voted 95%
For him.
and that's pretty much their cousin.
Well, to
It doesn't
establish.
matter if he is or he isn't.
But they view, I'm talking about the point is that the
It
Muslims,
matters to me, and I love it.
Well, Frank Gaffney went on record about 2 years ago. He said that he governs as if he were a Muslim. Doesn't really matter whether he has said the Shahada, whether he prays 5 times a day. Doesn't matter. if he is a practicing Muslim. He governs as if he is a Muslim. Gaffney said that a couple of years ago.
And George Galloway views him as a Muslim too.
Oh, absolutely.
And he said that in a mosque where he says, if not now, when? If not under Barack Hussein Obama, when?
Then who?
Yeah,
Then who? Yeah. All right. Well, as we get into this material, we're going to take an interesting diversion at some point, probably 6 years from now, by the speed we're going through with this. But a worldview, we're going to look at his worldview right now. And a worldview isn't the way he views the world like it's a big happy place. It's a worldview is a very technical philosophical term. It's a German term, Weltanschauung, and it simply means what are your fundamental beliefs, your principled beliefs? What is it? What is at your core in terms of answering the big question? You know, who am I? Why am I here? Where are we going? How do you answer those questions? And then once you have answered those questions, then you have to answer questions about civilized life. How do I view my neighbor? How do I view money? How do I view these sort of commodities that make civilized functioning either productive or inefficient? So a worldview is getting at the core of a person's belief system. And reading on this screen right here, a worldview is a set of presuppositions that comprise your basic view, your basic framework of reality. And here's some axioms. Yeah, you can say it that way. That's good. An axiom is a ruler in a sense. It's that by which you judge a fact that is unchangeable, an axiom. Your worldview, your presuppositions, what are your core beliefs, will dictate, very important, your worldview dictates your sociology, and your sociology determines your politics. Somebody explain that for me. Your worldview dictates, it forces your sociology, and your sociology then determines how you function as in the body politic. Anybody?
I guess what that's saying is the way you look at the world, the way you look at the world big.
Your basic presuppositions.
Okay, what your presuppositions on the big tend to.
What's your sociology? What is sociology?
Who you socialize with, the way you live.
The way you live. Sociology is the way the way you live. Yeah.
And then based on the way you live or the way you want to live will dictate your voting habits.
Sure.
I suppose.
Yeah.
For instance, if I would like to be a lazy socialist, I would vote for the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And not be a member of the Tea Party.
Yeah. And one easy way to illustrate this: if you are an atheist. If an individual is an atheist, do you believe in God? If you're an atheist, do you believe in God?
No.
No. Okay. So your worldview is atheistic. Now your sociology. When you live, are you going to go about living your life following the Ten Commandments?
No.
Or following instruction from a deity?
No.
Why not?
Because you do not believe there is a deity.
There isn't one. So your worldview forces you to live a certain way, to be consistent in your worldview.
Well,
that's the key, philosophically consistent.
Yeah.
That's the function of life. To the degree that you can live consistently with your beliefs determines how much happiness you have in your life. We're doing a little philosophy here, folks, okay? But it's very, very important stuff. You don't get this on Rush Limbaugh or Hannity. This is meat for the brain. If you believe in God, if you have a belief that there is a God, then your sociology, your lifestyle will reflect that, and then your voting habits will reflect a belief in God. How so? How does somebody compare and contrast a voter who's an atheist and a voter who's a theist? How would theism play out in a vote and atheism play out in a vote? In a democracy now, we're talking about a democracy, obviously.
Well, I guess it's going to depend on the platform, the social issues of the platforms of the parties.
I think we saw a good example.
We saw a good example of that during the convention.
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah. Well, we had God and Israel taken out of the platform at the Democrat National Convention. and then by a scam it was put back in after it was clearly outvoted and booed down by the actual members, the delegates of the convention.
Remember that? You guys remember that? Well, you know the recent studies over the past 10 years that have shown the Democrat Party has moved away from a personal belief in God, more atheists in the Democrat Party, more non-believers, more non-churchgoers. And we saw a stumbling, foolish, but very graphic illustration of the party removing God and Israel because
and
they
Jerusalem.
go, what is this? We don't need this in our platform. We don't even
Yeah.
believe in this stuff.
Yeah, we don't support Israel, and we don't believe in God.
So that's out of there, and then there was a hubbub saying, "Uh-oh, that has to come back in."
But
So
a lot of people who do believe in God and do believe in Jerusalem and do love Israel voted for the Democrats anyway.
yeah, well, yeah, and when we do this sort of intelligence briefing, we're establishing principles, and one of the principles very important for everybody to understand is to the degree that your lifestyle, the way you live each and every day, you go about, you get up in the morning, you have to make a decision as to how you're going to relate to that person there. You go to work, you're having a conflict with someone, are you going to apologize or not? There's an opportunity for you to make some money, but it may just be in that gray area. To the degree that your choices in the everyday life can be consistent with your worldview, your philosophical presuppositions, determines your existential gratification, your personal happiness in life. If you have a belief system and you're living in absolute contradiction to your belief system, are you going to be a happy person?
Not
No.
me, no.
No. If you have a belief system and you're living in perfect harmony with it, you will have peace and contentment in your life. You will have enjoyment in your life. So that's the worldview, the basic construct of a worldview. And the next slide, just bring this slide up as we end this session. Tomorrow, we need you to come back tomorrow. We're going to show you, go to full screen, Barry Barack Hussein Soetoro Obama II. We're going to go through his life, take his worldview, show you what he believes, how it works out in his sociology, and how it works out in his politics. This would be very funny, except for the fact that he runs your life. Every American out there, this gentleman runs your life. And if he's going to run it according to his belief system, we are in a whole boatload of trouble. We'll be right back after the top of the hour.
And watch my words very carefully. Concentrate on things, can't eat or sleep, feel incomplete and kinda scared and creepy. I look over my shoulder lots and shudder when I watch TV. I bite my nails and cuticles and watch my words very carefully. Flag at White House. I bite my lip a lot and fidget with the buttons on my blouse. Why? Because there's a communist living in the White House. Why aren't people shocked or something? Why aren't people up in arms? arms. Does anyone read history or see red flags or hear alarms? The streets are filled with deaf and dumb as I squeak like a mouse. There's a communist living in the White House. My husband really misses me. My parents think I've gone crazy. Only Glenn Beck understands me. And of course Sean Hannity and Huckabee. But you know, besides those three and the sweet people who drink the tea, there is no one else who can see the communists living in the White House. Now, you may say, do I have any evidence to support my suppositions? And I will say, where do you want me to start? His grandparents were socialists, his mother was, his father was a communist. He had Marxist professors. He taught a course in college on Saul Alinsky. He, well, his college records are sealed. He told Joe the plumber on the campaign trail, spread the wealth, which is a direct quote from the Communist Manifesto written by Karl Marx and that other guy. He appointed Van Jones to be his green job czar. Van Jones is a purported communist, now a capitalist, would never appoint a communist advisor. His church of 20 years, with Jeremiah Wright preaching, was black liberation theology, which is actually Marxism. Let's see. Then as soon as he got in office, he had the government take over the banks and the car industry, and now he's trying to jam down our throats socialized medicine and the cap and trade. I mean, how much more proof do you want? I'm jittery, my teeth I grate, I twitch, I shake, I ruminate. Lately I'm perplexed and pinched in pain, I pout and ponder. It's good alliteration. Maybe I have lost my mind or have been drugged by some narcotic. Maybe I'm in a movie called 1984, or I'm just idiotic. But if I am in a dream, fast asleep, I think I will just try to keep my eyes shut till this goes away and I awake to a happier day when my ukulele does not play this song of dire distress and dismay. This song called There's a Communist Living in the White House. There's a communist living in the White House. There's a communist. Everybody living in the White House. Everybody, there's a communist living in the White House. Now what are we going to do about it? It seems these days I'm in a haze and I can't concentrate on things, can't eat or sleep, feel incomplete and kinda scared and creepy. I look over my shoulder lots and shudder when I watch TV. I bite my nails and cuticles and watch my words very carefully. Flag at White House. I bite my lip a lot and fidget with the buttons on my blouse. Why? Because there's a communist living in the White House. Why aren't people shocked or something? Why aren't people up in arms? Does anyone read history or see red flags or hear alarms? The streets are filled with deaf and dumb as I squeak like a mouse. There's a communist living in the White House. My husband really misses me. My parents think I've gone crazy. Only Glenn Beck understands me. And of course Sean Hannity and Huckabee. But you know, besides those three and the sweet people who drink the tea, there is no one else who can see the communists living in the White House. Now, you may say, do I have any evidence to support my suppositions? And I will say, where do you want me to start? His grandparents were socialists, his mother was, his father was a communist. He had Marxist professors. He taught a course in college on Saul Alinsky. He, well, his college records are sealed. He told Joe the plumber on the campaign trail, spread the wealth, which is a direct quote from the Communist Manifesto written by Karl Marx and that other guy. He appointed Van Jones to be his green job czar. Van Jones is a purported communist, now a capitalist, would never appoint a communist advisor. His church of 20 years, what with Jeremiah Wright preaching, was black liberation theology, which is actually Marxism. Let's see. Then as soon as he got in office, he had the government take over the banks and the car industry, and now he's trying to jam down our throats socialized medicine and the cap and trade. I mean, how much more proof do you want? I'm jittery, my teeth I grate, I twitch, I shake, I ruminate. Lately I'm perplexed and pinched in pain, I pout and ponder. It's a good alliteration. Maybe I have lost my mind or have been drugged by some narcotic. Maybe I'm in a movie called 1984, or I'm just idiotic. But if I am in a dream, fast asleep, I think I will just try to keep my eyes shut till this goes away and I awake to a happier day when my ukulele does not play this song of dire distress and dismay. This song called There's a Communist Living in the White House. There's a communist living in the White House. There's a communist. Everybody living in the White House. Everybody, there's a communist living in the White House. Now what are we going to do about it? It seems these days I'm in a haze and I can't concentrate on things, can't eat or sleep, feel incomplete and kinda scared and creepy. I look over my shoulder lots and shudder when I watch TV. I bite my nails and cuticles and watch my words very carefully. Flag at White House. I bite my lip a lot and fidget with the buttons on my blouse. Why? Because there's a communist living in the White House. Why aren't people shocked or something? Why aren't people up in arms? Does anyone read history or see red flags or hear alarms? The streets are filled with deaf and dumb as I squeak like a mouse. There's a communist living in the White House. My husband really misses me. My parents think I've gone crazy. Only Glenn Beck understands me. And of course, Sean Hannity and Huckabee.
Go ahead. You're live.
We're live. We're here.
We are live. Okay, we're back. Hi, everybody. Tom Trento on WNN 1470. That's our flagship radio station in Boca Raton, Florida, on the 28th of February, the last day of February, the last day of the free world. It's going to end tomorrow. We're going to get castrated tomorrow.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
It's the end of the world. Oh, my God, it's happening. How come we didn't listen to the president? We should have listened, CJ. We should have listened to the president. Yes. Oh, no.
50 million people are going to be starving on Monday morning.
This president is looking more and more like one of them washed-up magicians. They got thrown out of Vegas. They're doing street fairs but every kid can see that every one of their little tricks is just he's pulling a pigeon. The pigeon's flying out of his pocket as he's putting his hand in there. I mean, sentient people.
Best Actor Award. Right?
Best Actor Award. Intelligent people are starting to realize that this president is a charlatan in many respects. Charlatan in his in the way he dupes Americans, though didn't never dupe us or many in our ilk, but the way he dupes many Americans is by promising them the world, and then if he's held accountable on his phony baloney promises, like the Republicans seem to be doing now, he starts to back off because he doesn't want to drop below 55%. I think that's his approval rating right now. But sequestration looks like it's going to happen. Anybody see anything differently? Any news events anywhere we haven't seen? We're monitoring everything.
I don't know. Maybe it should be one of your segments for this hour.
No, we got good stuff right now.
No,
we got some good stuff. Yes, we got good stuff for everybody right now. First hour, we had Diana West on here on TrentoVision.tv. And you Tea Party community folks, welcome aboard. Many of you are just jumping in on the third hour here, the 5 to 6 hour. We appreciate your partnership with us. We'd like you to watch Ken and Tamara 2 to 3, teapartycommunity.com. They will bring you Tea Party news. We expanded a bit. We do U.S. Internal national security issues, constitutional issues, foreign policy, Islamic jihad, and other groups and world events. So you stick to Trento Vision and then the Tea Party Community from 2 o'clock on, and you're getting a full day of in-depth and detailed analysis and opinion, because we do give you our opinions, that's for sure. But every once in a while, we like to lighten it up and make jihad fun. So this is our insane news from around the world segment. We did it yesterday, and it's very simple. I will read some news items, and they may or may not be a news item. It may be completely made up in my sometimes demented head, or it may be an actual headline or byline from somewhere in the world. You're supposed to figure it out. And let me really get way out there and tell you that let me see, where's there a hotbed of are there any Muslim countries that are warring at war right now? Anybody know? Imam Abdullah.
Wasn't there something with Syria and I can't remember who it was with. Syria and
Syria,
but Syria and Lebanon too, I believe.
Oh, Lebanon's getting yes. If the last time I looked, Syria was in the middle of a civil war. I think 7,000 people have died already. I think 7,000 people have died already.
70?
Oh, 70,000.
And they didn't die, they were murdered?
Oh, 70,000 people were slaughtered in Syria. And where's George Bush? He needs to be held accountable for 70,000 murders in Syria. Isn't it his fault?
It's always his fault. He must be hiding out on his ranch in
It's
Texas.
George Bush's fault. You notice in his second term, we're not hearing George Bush too much anymore.
We did during the election.
We
they
certainly
tried
did.
running against him during the election, and then they found out that they could win against Romney, so they didn't
And
have
they
to run
shifted
against
gears.
Bush again.
But I saw a poster just to the run-up the election in October of 2012. It said, what is President Obama going to do if he wins and realizes he inherited the economy from himself? What is he going to do about that?
He knows he's never held accountable for anything, so he doesn't have to sweat
Teflon,
it.
Teflon
and he
Don.
just blames the Republicans, and the Republicans let him because they don't do anything to turn the ship around.
So we have 70,000 people that have been slaughtered in a Muslim on Muslim war. This is very important for people to understand. The West, Christians, Jews have zero, except it is Israel's fault. If it isn't George Bush's fault, the default position is it's the Jews' fault, okay?
Oh, absolutely.
It is always the Jews' fault.
Especially if you're the United Nations.
Yes. So it's the Jews' fault that 70,000 Muslims have killed each other in Syria in a civil war. Now, how stupid do you have to be to condemn, critique, or speak negatively about Trento Vision, our team, Gaffney, Diana West, Andy McCarthy, Spencer, Geller, all these people, David Horowitz, that are trying to wake Americans up to a systemic internal problem within the Islamic world for supremacy. When you have two sides that both have to be on top and they gather in one place to fight over something, guess what? 70,000 people die. So, we got 70,000 dead people in Syria. We have Ashad Basar, the president, he's an elected president of Syria, inherited the presidency basically from his dad. Both dictators, totalitarian, brutal dictators. They run a totalitarian country as a dictator does. And when the Arab Spring hit 2 years ago, the spring sprung over to Syria, and there was a revolt in the street by those who wanted democracy. Well, that soon was co-opted by Al-Qaeda, the Brotherhood, everybody else. So now we have the Brotherhood, Al-Qaeda, and all these terrorist groups fighting the Assad military and the Assad regime, killing, slaughtering each other. So what does the UN do at a time like that? Well, I may be reading something that's for real. I may not be reading something that's for real. Here's the headline. The UN elects Syria to a senior position on human rights. The UN elected the nation of Israel.
Of Syria.
Of Israel. The nation of, see, it's always the Jews' fault.
Yeah.
The nation of Syria. Got to get this straight. The UN elects Syria to a position. They nominate and pass a vote and say Syria needs to be on the Human Rights Committee to help
The Human
the
Rights
world
Council, yeah.
understand human rights.
Yeah. Because they
True or
need to-
false?
I say true, because they need to join Iran.
True or
Also a
false?
member.
Impossible.
UN Watch today called on Ban Ki-moon, the UN, and the U.S. Ambassador Susan Rice, and EU representatives, UN Watch, that's a watchdog group of the UN, to condemn the world's body's revolting and absurd decision. So we got a watchdog group condemning the UN. Well, what was their revolting and absurd decision? They unanimously reelected the Assad regime, Bashar Assad, to a senior post on decolonization committee charged with upholding fundamental human rights and opposing the subjugation and domination and exploitation of people. What is it? All right. I'll state that very simply. Somebody needs to sell the property at First Avenue. It is First Avenue and 32nd Street in Midtown Manhattan, where the UN is, and change that into condos.
I think they should close that shop up and just move it out of the United States altogether. I think it's offensive to me that it's here.
That would be a great superhero building for us, you know? Or
yeah, we could Skype in a lot of
or Starbucks. Starbucks should take that over as their eastern administrative offices. Yes, the UN unanimously voted Bashar Assad, that regime, the Syrian president, a dictator, 70,000 people slaughtered in his country in the past year and a half. Put them on a committee to uphold human rights. This is why this is nonsensical. We give 25% of the budget of the United Nations.
Yeah, we need to quit.
Taxpayers pay that money.
Yeah, is that going to be cut in the sequester?
You know, put that down. That gets cut. All right, the next insane news from around the world. Let me ask you this. True or false? Al Gore is dating the 30-year-old, you guys got to listen to this. Al Gore is dating the 30-year-old, there's not rumors, it's more than rumors. There's information that Al Gore is dating the 30-year-old daughter of Prince Al Bul Shiate of Qatar.
I'm going to say no.
Al Gore is dating. Remember Qatar? What's Qatar all about?
Al Jazeera.
Yeah, Al Jazeera is from Qatar.
Al Jazeera. That's got to be true. That's got to be
I
true.
say false.
Al Gore.
Impossible.
Al Gore is dating the 30-year-old daughter of Prince Al Bul Shiate of Qatar. True or false? What do you say?
I say false.
False?
I say false.
Must be false. He did not convert.
True?
I say true.
Okay. Well, no, the giveaway on that one is the prince's name. Al Bul Shiate. Prince Albul Shiate. Okay? The giveaway on that one is Prince Albul Shiate. No, there is no Prince Albul Shiate.
But it's so insane.
Of Qatar.
It really is. I mean, that's insane.
We're used to the fact that you can't pronounce anything,
Yes,
even
I
in
know.
Italian. So
No, Al Gore, that's a made-up one. I made up that Al Gore is dating the 30-year-old daughter of Prince Albul Shiate of Qatar. Okay, I slipped that one in there.
okay.
Okay.
You got me in there.
Okay. Now, the next one, number 3, and I didn't say we need music, we need special effects, all of that. Mike, put some music down for us.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we've been here for minutes.
The Lord has
We've
spoken,
been here
Mike,
for
once
minutes.
again.
All right, now what about this one? What about this one? A couple of weeks ago, it was Hijab Day. Hijab Day, I'll say that. Hijab Day. World Hijab Day.
True.
What do you mean true?
I just know this is going to be true. Just when you say Hijab Day, it's Hijab Day somewhere, everywhere in the world.
What do you think? There was a call worldwide call for all women to wear what is a hijab, CJ?
It's a covering.
Head covering.
Head covering.
What is the significance of it in Islam?
It's their flag.
It's their flag. That's pretty good.
It's their flag.
No, it really is, because if you look at it, because their whole premise is subjugation and persecution of women, and if the women are running around uncovered, they are not in control. Yet if the women are covered, they are in control, and it's a way to submit the entire population. It's like running around with a little swastika on your arm.
Except, exactly, like running around with a swastika, because in this country, the women wear them as a sign of intimidation to the infidel community that we are here and we're taking over.
We're here and we're taking over.
And, when you see these girls on college campuses wearing a hijab and really, really tight, low-cut jeans and tank tops, then I don't think you can really take seriously that that they're doing this out of some sense of religion or modesty or anything else.
Well, the answer is
mocking Allah.
I say yes on hijab
yes.
day.
The answer is yes. A couple of weeks ago, it was World Hijab Day, and if you can go to my screen, I will show you exactly what we are looking at here. Non-Muslims are being asked to try a hijab on for a day, just a hijab for one day.
One day turns into 2 days, turns into a week, turns into a lifetime, turns into getting your butt beat.
And there's Jess Rhodes without her hijab on the left, and there she is in her nice little hijab, head covering, sign of submission, and sign of separation, and sign of supremacism, basically in the United States.
Yeah.
World Hijab Day calls on non-Muslim women to try out life under the traditional headscarf.
Yeah.
Some people think women should not have to cover their hair or face and think it's unfair because men don't have to wear them. But for women around the world, it's an important show of their faith. Organizers of this event reject the idea that women only wear them if they are forced by their family. Jess Rhodes, who's giving the hijab a try for a month, said she was surprised how positive the reaction is to her wearing her hijab. Now, if you can zoom in on that picture, Mark, these are like hijab dummies that, I'll pull it up for you a little bit right there. They're hijab dummies.
Control plus, Tom.
Oh, yeah, I can do that, yeah. They are hijab dummies. There you go. And, all the different kinds. Now, this is supposed to be for modesty and separating yourself from the West. These look like Western. First of all, the idea of a big sock thing over your head.
Well, and the second point too is once they start putting on the hijabs, they got to get rid of that lipstick and makeup on their face, because that is definitely
That's a giveaway.
That's a non-Sharia compliant.
Right.
And actually, one of the signs of rebellion that's happening in the Middle East, over in Iran especially, is that the women are actually are wearing makeup under the hijabs, and they're catching a lot of flack from the religious people. So if you want to show signs of rebellious as an Islamic woman over in the Middle East, you put the makeup on. But here, this is just ridiculousness because it's, it has absolutely no meaning whatsoever except to the Islamists in the community who are very happy to see women submitting to Islam.
All right, it's 23 minutes after 5 o'clock. You're with Tom Trento, CJ, Mike Mark, and Imam Abdullah on a beautiful February afternoon in South Florida. We're down in the bunker, our television production facility, and it's insane news from around the world. We're looking at the World Hijab Day, where Muslims are saying, this was about 2 weeks ago. If you didn't hear about it, oh man, it was just a worldwide event. Muslims are saying that women need to, all women, even in the West, experience the hijab. Now, why would they do that from a cultural jihad perspective? What value is there in calling all women throughout the world to try it on, just see what we're like?
Yeah, just see what's coming your way
It's
soon.
no big deal.
Just feel it out. All right, now let's go down a little further. And if you go to my screen, this is the typical hijab headscarf. And there you have a kind of a sketch. The word hijab comes from Arabic for veil or screen. And, many styles and colors. But now let's get a little better. Now you wear that hijab and they go, okay, stage
Very
one.
sexy.
For our radio audience,
Yeah, you can graduate from a hijab to a niqab.
Yeah,
Actually, I've done a lot of study in the women's dress here, and what you're seeing here, it's actually, I think it's worth noting, is that the more, and it starts about when you cover the hair with the hijab. It's all about how much the hair you show, how much more compliant you're being. So the more rebellious you are, the more hair you show. And therefore you start covering the hair, and then you start covering the lower part of the mouth, then you start covering the face, and the more and more and more these people are covered, the more and more religiously towards jihad they become. And you'll really
That's a very good point. The more covering, the more the threat matrix goes up. Definitely.
That's true, and it's actually very trackable.
And isn't that bizarre? The more religious covering you have, the more you are a threat to the West.
Someone sounds like an Islamophobe.
But it's true. Now, I actually did. I did about. I would say about a year.
You've done a lot of work on this. I know.
About a year and a half to 2 years of study on this, and actually tracked it through all the different radical countries and through the more violent countries, if you will. And you can actually see it. The more violent the country, the more covered the women are, because the women have to be submitted in Islam. Their whole honor, their whole basis of honor, the male honor, comes from the submission and control of the women sexually, because you cannot. And the more the women become covered, the more and more they become seen as a breeding stock, as a person who is meant for breeding, as a part of property, not something as a woman. So therefore, if part of your family becomes impure breeding-wise, you become dishonored as a man, and therefore you lose honor and face in the community. Therefore, the more fundamentalist I am, the more, dogmatic I am about Islam and its ideology, the more and more I have to cover my women, and therefore the more radical I become towards jihad. So It's a very good telling point of the way women dress, of how the man in the relationship views Islam and his commitment to jihad.
It's how they hide in plain sight.
Now they hide in plain sight. That's good. Now for the listening audience, at 26 minutes after 5 o'clock, you're in your automobiles. You go, what are you guys talking about? Where it's insane news of the day, and the issue right now, the news item that I threw out is a true or false, is that a couple of weeks ago it was World Hijab Day. Muslims wanted all women worldwide to wear a little scarf over their head, nothing big. But we're showing now the progression from that entree piece of clothing into jihad to the progressive steps where men, as Mark was just explaining, necessarily have to cover and isolate the women. And to the degree that you start moving in this religious clothing paradigm, it's to that degree that you become philosophically more of a jihad threat, cultural or kinetic, to the West. So now we're looking at
or the society or the culture that you're a part of is,
Correct.
And you're a victim of it. I mean, these Afghani women.
Yep.
Good grief! I don't think they're out looking to do jihad. I think they're looking to not die before they're 30,
Well, actually,
or get killed by their husbands or their fathers
I'm
or
going
their
to disagree with you
nephews.
slightly as far as the woman is concerned, because the women is the key to this whole success of jihad, is because they're the ones who actually implement it and promulgate it through over the years, especially the older women. The younger women do not. The women are trapped in the system. The older women, because they are
I
taking
don't
care
think
of.
the women in Afghanistan under
Yes.
the Taliban
Yes,
had
they do.
any
The
power
big-
at all.
CJ, you're 100% wrong on this, because the older women are the strongest supporters of Islamic jihad. They are, because what happens is they become taken care of by the state. That's how they get their honor eventually in the long run. It truly is. And I could prove it to you if I had a couple hours here. It's
You don't
a
have a
thought
couple of
process.
hours. Okay. Let's.
But what I'm trying to say is, no, the older women are the strongest supporters of jihad, of anything in the Middle East,
Okay,
because
but
they're
there's
the ones.
not a lot of old women in Afghanistan.
Once you get past the point of sexuality, yes, that is when you start becoming an honorary man per se. Because once you stop becoming sexually attractive in the Islamic ideology, you
Oh,
become
that's interesting,
you become an honorary man, if you will, and they become the strongest
But
supporters.
not with
of
the
Is-
rights that men have. You still don't.
No,
Still
but
don't
they
have the rights.
Okay.
but they
All right,
get
let
their,
me-
well, this is a
finish
very
the-
important point here,
Yeah.
because what happens is they become totally honored by controlling the sexuality of the other women in their family, and they are the greatest propagators of this Islamic dress. And it's not
And honor killings.
and honor killings. They're the ones who tell the sons to go kill the daughters. They're the ones who lay down the iron fist inside the family for this whole Islamic system, because what happens, they become taken care of by the first male-born sons in the family for life. They never have to work. Everything they do is taken
That
care
does
of.
not sound like a true interest in jihad to me. That
It's-
sounds like old age pension.
And that's part of the reward for, you're exactly right, it is an old age pension plan for the
Yeah.
women and thing. But that's the reason when they say their sons go to die in jihad, they get to go to the 72
Thule's-
versions
like
too.
the
Yeah.
lady, Thule's.
I mean-
Yeah, no, I'm familiar with them.
No,
All right.
I've had many hours of
Okay,
discussion with
let's-
Nani Darwish. No, this is very important about the Islamic.
All right, but we
female
can't do
dress.
all this
Yeah,
right
we're
now. I
not
got a
doing all
million
this
things to
right
get
now.
through here. We'll have this. I got 4 more clothing pieces. This is nothing yet. What we're looking at and discussing right now is a niqab, Niqab, for the driving audience. Whereas you've seen the hijabs, just the scarf on the head and the hair's covered. The niqab, got to go a little more. They got a big tent over their whole body, and their nose and mouth is covered with cloth, and only the eyes are showing. This is a niqab. Niqab is a veil for the face that leaves the area around the eyes open. It's worn with an accompanying headscarf. Now we go to the next one. Here's what you guys were just talking about in Afghanistan. It's interesting that they didn't put the real ones in this article. They put drawings of them because they're so offensive. What are we looking at, Imam Abdullah?
A beautiful burqa behind door number 3. And what is behind a beautiful burqa? Who the hell knows?
We have an Afghani burqa right here with the screens, and the screens are put in there. Why?
Air?
So they can actually see.
So they can be alive. Well, they got to see a little bit so they can be alive, but
Keep the mosquitoes out.
they actually tried to make these screens as small as possible
Yeah.
because you can still see in, and the jihadi men do not want anyone seeing their wives. This is all Sharia stuff.
What's interesting about the burqa is the number one accidental death component in women in the Middle East is being run over by cars and everything because they can't see to walk across the streets. Plus, there's a huge vitamin D deficiency in the women because they're completely covered, and they don't get they develop all kinds of diseases because of this dress. They just simply don't get any sunlight.
No sun for you.
It's almost, when you look at something like that, and again, your worldview, these individuals were raised believing a particular way about women, about Allah. So this is This is a beautiful example of religiosity, of honoring Allah by completely putting a tent over a human being, and essentially saying to the Western God, which is the real God, essentially saying, nope, you made big mistakes the way you made that woman, and we're gonna repair your mistake by covering her up completely so no one can ever see her. That's what we're gonna do. Now, if you read the Hebrew Bible and the New Testament, there's quite a bit taught about modesty, but there's also quite a bit taught about the beautiful nature of human beings. Unlike Islam, which seeks to cover women completely, it is completely bizarre. But let's look at the next one. Al-Amira is a two-piece veil. It consists of a cap and then the scarf. The Shayla is a long rectangular scarf. I'm just going through some of.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at it in the preview. I was not.
Oh yeah, it wasn't on there.
Okay.
So now we've gone from the hijab to the burqa. Now these are variations in the various Muslim countries, trying to keep consistent with the Sharia, but also there's tremendous Western influence in these countries, and the girls don't want to wear these things, so they got to find a balance. So they try to add some design.
This
to
particular outfit was actually more in the Queen Noor fashion.
Yeah.
Over in Jordan. And
that's what Hillary Clinton wears when she travels.
But which one is right and which one is wrong? You know, I mean, from the Sharia point of view.
Well, it's right.
All right, now here's another one of Kamar. Then there's just Shador.
That's in Iran.
This is the Iran. Yeah, there it is. Worn by Iranian women.
But that's more in lines with the burqa type of idea, where it'll come more and more covered as the more fundamental they become.
Yep, and they're usually blue. Yep. All right, we can get rid of that one. All right, next.
I just wanted real quick. I wanted to bring in something. Daniel Pipes wrote an article. About a week or two ago. Philadelphia has had a problem. 7 violent crimes committed by people wearing burqas. Okay?
I heard about that.
And anywhere from bank robbery to strong arm robbery. But it's become an issue, and I'm not saying it's Muslim people doing it, but the dress itself lends itself to disguise. It is can be used as disguise. I was in Publix last week, and 2 full burqas walked in, and I just come from the bank minutes before that, and I can only imagine how I would have been received in the bank walking in with a burqa on.
No, absolutely, it's a costume.
In Israel during the first and second intifadas, the suicide bombers were coming in under their with women hidden under their Islamic coverings. So the Israeli government had to start at the checkpoints. They actually had to start checking women where they hadn't done it before.
No, absolutely, and I mean we're critiquing not so much the costume and how it could be used improperly.
Yeah.
We're critiquing the worldview behind enclosing a woman up, and why are they enclosing women up? We're just referring back to the Sharia, but what's behind the Sharia? Well, men feel that women are at fault if they're sexually tempted. So the burden is not upon men to control themselves, it's upon women to cover themselves. Control or cover, control or cover.
Yeah, they view women as completely sexually permissive in the Islamic society, and it is the man's responsibility to curb the women's overwhelming sexual desires. That's the reason they veil them, because once again it goes back to the honor mentality, because they're dishonored if their society, if their women in their clan become impure.
Yep. All right, so now at 37 minutes past 5 o'clock, we're doing insane news from around the world, true or false. Let me ask you guys this. We're going to go from the Afghani burqas to...
Are we going to do any news items?
Yeah. Well, that was the news. That was a hijab day. This item is true or false. Secretary of State John Kerry, he's new. Secretary of State John Kerry. Secretary of State John Kerry invented a new country. True or false?
That's so crazy. It's got to be true. What did he do? Misspeak or something like that, or what did he do? Did he
True or false? He invented a new country.
Invent
Oh,
or
come on,
discover?
you have to-
He
yeah.
invented a new.
He invented a country.
Impossible.
Okay. Roll him out, Brett. Get him out of door one. Let's take a look at this.
All right, Nick. Control plus, a couple more.
A couple of more. Okay.
There you go.
Kerry confuses poor Kyrgyzstan with poor in resources. Poor Kyrgyzstan with rich Kazakhstan by naming it Kyrgyzstan.
Kazakhstan. Hey, that could actually be a country.
Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah, and they made fun of George Bush, right? Strategery.
Kerry confuses poor Kyrgyzstan.
And not he's just some yokel. He's our Secretary
He's our
of State.
Secretary of State.
Yeah, but that's okay because the president thinks there were 57 states in the U.S. So
Kazakhstan is a big country north of Afghanistan, and they're not really our friends. Kyrgyzstan is below it. It's a little country, 5 million or so, and they are our friends. They've been helping us fight in Afghanistan, and he was there speaking, and he got even the facts wrong, the geopolitical facts. Let me see if I could pull this in here. Yeah. In an embarrassing slip of the tongue, Mr. Kerry last week praised U.S. diplomats working to secure democratic institutions in the Central Asian country, which does not exist.
They made fun of Sarah Palin.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I can see Russia there.
The newly minted diplomat. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
The newly minted diplomat
so fresh.
I
so
wonder if he could see
minty.
that from his back porch.
was referring to Kyrgyzstan, a poor landlocked nation of 5.5 million, which he appeared to confuse with its resource-rich neighbor to the north, Kazakhstan. The State Department kindly omitted the error in the official transcript of Wednesday's speech. Oh, how nice of them, which Mr. Kerry delivered on the eve of his first foreign trip as Secretary of State. But he called the country Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan, a country which doesn't exist.
But it's
that's
really
true.
it's just totally embarrassing. I mean, just as an American, that's totally embarrassing. You know, you're expected to put the most brightest and most intelligent people out there to represent America, to represent our foreign policy, to represent who we are as a nation. Not as a a complete total idiot like we knew he would be. Tom, this is going to be so much good material for the next 4 years.
We are going to have a blast with this. And you know what? At 40 minutes, we only got a few minutes left in the show, and we enjoy doing what we do. We thank you for making donations to keep the show on the road. Go to TrentoVision.tv. And I don't want to let you see anything. CJ's cheating in our little insane news of the world.
I'm trying not to look at this. I'm intentionally trying to not look at it here.
Yeah, don't, because if I may have something wrong up on the screen here. Let me see.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. But I don't want them to. Don't show that. Okay. All right. In any event, we are here tomorrow. We have Peter Feynman with us, our very good friend. We're going to put him right between us, or we'll figure something out. He'll be in studio, and we're going to cover all Republican issues.
Bring him on.
All right. We're ready.
Come on.
But right now, we're going to conclude our segment, Insane News from the World. And I'm going to ask you guys this. I'm a Christian, okay? And the question that I have to ask is, is it possible that Christianity could have come out of, there's a historical precedent for where religions come from. Is it possible that Christianity came out of penis worship?
Excuse me?
Is it possible that Christianity came out of a belief system known as penis worship?
Probably not. I'm just going to go out on a limb.
Mike's going out on a
limb.
Yeah.
A third limb.
Yeah.
A third limb.
I'll weigh in as a Unitarian here.
Okay, you're going to weigh in.
unit.
I will say
a Unitarian.
the possibility it might have been created out of anti-penis worship.
Okay, CJ, the girl in the crowd.
Do I have to talk about penises?
Did Christianity emerge out of penis worship?
I think it was spread that way.
I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what that means. And I'm not even going to go there.
Reproduction.
Okay, I figured that.
Yeah.
Okay, I kind of figured
And that's
that.
all I
All right,
have to
ready?
say about
Ready for the
that.
big reveal?
Okay.
Here it is, true or false? Christianity emerged from penis worship.
What type of whack thing is he trying to say here?
Okay, who's that? Oprah?
This is Oprah or what? What is this?
This is insane news of the world.
All right, Control plus this time.
Okay.
This must be from Al Jazeera, no?
Almost. It's from Egypt. Okay. Egyptian cleric swears to God that Christianity emerged from penis worship. On February 13th, a week or so ago, Egyptian cleric Abu Islam. Do you know him? Abdul?
No, I do not know Abu Islam. From what he says, I might like him, but I do not know him.
He appeared on Egypt's Al Omama TV with a 141 with a short video. Swear to God Almighty.
Your mama?
Yeah.
Don't talk about my mama, you bastard. Don't talk
Okay,
about my
didn't we
mama.
start the show like this?
Swear to God Almighty, I am not lying speech on the emergence of Christianity from its penis worship. And I'm going to show you. I have the video to show everybody.
I
right
don't
now.
want to see a penis worshiper.
And the cleric tells the viewers that the church worship.
This is why burqas are needed.
It originated in the worship of the penis. This is documented in dozens of pictures. Let me tell you, it's indecent but true. Let's play the video. I'll play the video. And
go full screen.
Let me go. Yeah, I'll go full
This
screen.
is beginners. I don't know if this is going to work. But go ahead. This
Here
is
we
the
go.
first
We're
area.
playing a video. We're watching a video.
Yeah, I might have to.
Did it finish?
Didn't start.
Didn't start yet.
I was wondering about that.
Why wouldn't it
Oh,
play?
you already played it.
Yeah, it looks like it played already. All right, here we go. Here we go. No, it looks like it plays. All right, well.
There it goes.
I'm going to play it on this. Oh, here
There
it
it
goes.
goes. Okay.
Egyptian cleric Abu Islam. I swear to God the Almighty, and believe me, I am not lying. You got to see this guy, folks. That the church worship originated in the worship of the penis. Froze up.
You want to freeze that shot?
The guy froze up. It's
Oh,
really
okay.
hysterical. Why is it freezing? I'm gonna go small, and we'll play it this way.
I don't know him, but we look alike.
Yes, you do.
Actually, I could play it from here if you send me the link, but that's all right. It might be too long.
We'll see if this plays here.
Just try to do the Control plus on your thing there.
Yeah, let it get going. Let's see if we can do that.
In the meantime,
Here we go. I swear to God that the Almighty, and believe me, I am not lying, says Abdul whatever. He's an Egyptian cleric. The church worship originated in the worship of the penis. This is an Egyptian cleric the other day on Egyptian TV. He's talking about Christianity. I swear to God. You should be reading this, Abdul.
I cannot see.
This is documented in dozens of pictures. Yeah, we need him. Let me tell you something. It's indecent, but it's true. Take a look at the picture of Jesus, and you'll see a penis right there, and he's pointing to his shirt. Or is it on his right side? A penis right there. Oh, he's pointing to the picture behind him. There are many pictures like this. They worship it. The Christians worship it. Christian women raise cats and dogs as a substitute for husbands.
Ooh, that's not right.
They train their dogs to play the husband.
Oh.
I swear to God, I am not lying.
That's why Islamics don't like dogs.
They buy dogs for this purpose. They train dogs to play the husband on them. Christian women do that. And that's let's give Abdul Omam a hand.
And that's his proof.
That's his
So,
proof. He's an
yeah.
Egyptian cleric.
Because there was a penis on Jesus,
So that's
therefore
what
they worship the penis.
government-sponsored TV does in Egypt.
This is what government TV does in Egypt.
Kind of like
Can
if
I
you're
ask-
watching PBS in Egypt, that's what you're getting.
Can I ask what the Muslim response would be if you had a
Change that
Christian
around, just, yeah.
saying that the Islam started by penis worship? How many people would be dead within 2 days of someone, an imam or a pastor saying something? If Pastor Boykin
Terry Jones
said something
why
like
don't
this,
you,
if
where's
Terry Jones said that?
it.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
that's a good
yeah,
point.
yeah. Insane news from around the world, and we get a lot of it in Cairo, Egypt. Quite a bit of it comes
But this
out
is
of
not insane. You
Egypt.
know, understanding that they have a completely different view of Christianity the way we do. They view Christianity as such a perversion of Islam, way Christianity Islam is supposed to be viewed, because they view Christianity has been perverted, and therefore there's no true Christians in the world because they perverted it. They don't have the same book, and that's the reason they hate all Christians and also Jews. They say the Jews have corrupted their books too.
Well, the problem is that the two classes of people that have failed, the Jews failed to bring God to the world. The Christians failed to bring God to the world. So Allah raised the Muslims, the best of all people, even though the Jews and Christians were originally Muslims. That's part of their belief system. But Islam has replaced the two groups, Jews and Christians, that have failed. But look at who is failing now in the world. Christians and Jews have thrived and been productive and built the world. Muslims have failed. So they're going, wait a minute, you guys dropped the ball, yet we're a total mess. Islam is a total mess. So it's extremely difficult. Again, remember I said earlier about the consistency in what you believe, the way you live. When you believe you are a supreme person, you are gifted and entrusted with the truth of God, and people should listen to you, and nobody does because your life is screwed up, your belief system is screwed up, your countries are screwed up, then you cannot live in peace. You have to always, always, always be at war and angry. And if that doesn't designate or symbolize or identify the classic worldview of Islam, nothing does. And it's sad. We need to be praying for Muslims worldwide. We've said on the show a million times, we do not hate human beings that happen to follow a religion called Islam, Muslims. We absolutely disagree with the religious system, which is really a political system, Islam, which is destructive to women, as we've shown, destructive to human nature, 70,000 people, destructive to their own people, on and on and on. But that's why we're here every week, 3 to 6. We're going to get going right now, folks. We have to leave a little early today. We'll be back tomorrow with Peter Feynman, our lawyer. Can we have call-ins with Peter tomorrow, you think?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to have call-ins with Peter Feynman tomorrow. We're going to find out about those pesky Republicans. Are we going to start a third party? Are we not? What's going to happen? Tune in tomorrow. See you guys.
Allah Akbar!
Okay.